Chapter 391. Tonight, Yagi Yukaim was wearing a red evening dress. The neckline was very low, which made people look like mountains and deep ravines. Coupled with her high bun, white and slender neck, and concave curves, she immediately attracted the attention of all the men present. However, her expression looked extremely cold. Even her eyes gave people a bone-piercing chill. It was as if she was an ice beauty carved out of ice. She looked very beautiful, but it made people flinch. Many men who thought they were successful people wanted to talk to her, but they were scared away by her cold expression. At this time, a young man in a famous brand suit came from afar. He had an arrogant expression on his face and was followed by several fierce-looking bodyguards. It was Wang Daji from the Wang family. After Wang Deshang's death, he had become the only heir of the Wang family. After Wang Hating had suffered the pain of losing his son, he had become a little dispirited and haggard. He had begun to hand over the family business to Wang Daji, which made him more satisfied. Tonight, Wang Hating had originally been invited, but he was no longer interested in this kind of banquet, so he had asked Wang Daji to attend on his behalf. As the heir of the Wang Group and the son of the president of the Jiangnan Chamber of Commerce, Wang Daji was flattered everywhere he went. After entering the door, Wang Daji saw Yagi Yukaim in the crowd at a glance. His eyes suddenly lit up. He had seen Yagi Yukaim's photos before. He hadn't expected that she was 10 times more beautiful and sexier than the photos. This almost made him drool. Except for the few women around Qin Haodong, he had never seen such a beautiful woman. He didn't dare to provoke Qin Haodong now, but he didn't care about a Japanese woman. In his opinion, Yagi Yukaim was just an ordinary woman who had come to Wuxia to seek business opportunities. He was the son of the president of the Jiangnan Chamber of Commerce and the heir of the Wang Group. If she wanted to make money in Jiangnan, she had to win his favor. Thinking of this, he became more confident. He took a glass of red wine from the waiter next to him and walked straight to Yagi Yukaim. "Miss Yukaim, welcome to Wuxia." Then, he raised the glass in his hand and said, "Miss Yukaim, can I invite you to have a drink?" There was still no expression on Yagi Yukaim's cold face. She picked up the wine glass in her hand and took a sip. The combination of the scarlet wine and her delicate red lips gave people a breathtaking beauty. After drinking, Yagi Yukaim turned around and asked in a cold voice, "Who are you?" "Miss Yagyu, let me introduce myself. I'm Wang Daji, the heir of the Wang Group. My father is Wang Hating, the president of the Jiangnan Chamber of Commerce. Since you've come to Jiangnan, I'm sure we'll have a lot of cooperation in the future." In terms of appearance, temperament, and figure, she was not inferior to Yagi Yukaim at all. Moreover, Lin Momo had already taken off her cold shell. She stood there like a lily with an elegant temperament. It was because Lin Momo was too beautiful and outstanding that people ignored Qin Haodong, who was next to her. After entering the venue, Qin Haodong immediately found Yagi Yukaim standing in the distance. His pupils shrank. A supreme power expert. Before coming, he had paid enough attention to this woman, who was known as the two-faced enchantress, but he didn't expect that it was far from enough. Yagi Yukaim had reached the supreme power realm, which was a big level higher than him. She deserved to be the martial arts genius of the Yagyu family. This discovery immediately made his expression become dignified. Fortunately, today was an official banquet. No matter how high Yagi Yukaim's cultivation was, she would not easily make trouble. After stabilizing his mind, he looked at Yagi Yukaim again and felt the coldness of this woman. She was different from Lin Momo before. Lin Momo's coldness was fake. It was just a cold shell. However, Yagi Yukaim's coldness came from the inside out, from the bones. As if feeling Qin Haodong's gaze, Yagi Yukaim slowly turned around. The moment she saw Qin Haodong, a scene that shocked everyone happened. Her face, which seemed to be carved out of ice for thousands of years, melted in an instant and was full of a charming smile. With this smile, it seemed that the temperature of the entire banquet site had risen a bit, giving everyone a feeling of being bathed in the spring breeze. What was going on? No one had expected that this ice beauty would smile, and her smile was so bright and charming. The most important thing was that the young master of the Wang family didn't get any color from her just now, but now she was smiling like a flower. Why was that? Who had such a great ability to make such a big change in the ice beauty? Just when everyone was confused, Yagi Yukime walked over. Her charming smile and red evening dress added a bit of sexiness. In addition, the majestic mountain trembled up and down as she walked, which attracted the attention of countless people. Qin Haodong also felt the huge change in Yagi Yukime. It seemed that the nickname of the two-faced beauty was not in vain. On one side, there was an iceberg, and on the other side, there was a flame. He suspected that this woman had a dual personality. The acting skills of a movie king were just as so. Moreover, it seemed that this woman was aiming at him and Lin Momo. Sure enough, Yagi Yukime went straight to them. She first smiled at Lin Momo and said, "I'm Yagi Yukime from the Japanese Yagyu family. President Lin, you're very beautiful. You're so beautiful that I'm a little jealous. Miss Yukime, you're too polite. You're more beautiful." Lin Momo didn't know Yagi Yukime's intention, so she just replied politely. After that, Yagi Yukime smiled charmingly again, but her smile was full of coldness. Chapter 392. Seeing Qin Haodong and Yagi Yukime hugging each other tightly and dancing, Wang Daji gritted his teeth and punched the table hard. He scolded bitterly, "This bitch. She was like an ice cube when she saw me. I thought she was a chaste woman. Who knew that she would show her true colors when she saw that gigolo? She acted as if she had never seen a man before. I'm so angry. Sooner or later, I'll get you in bed. I'll play you to death." At this time, he was in the corner, and everyone's eyes were focused on Yagi Yukime, so no one noticed his dissatisfaction. "Young master, in fact, you don't have to be angry with this kind of woman." The person who spoke was a bodyguard beside him. His name was Zhao San, and he was also an old member of the Wang family. After Wang Deshang's death, Wang Hating had specially sent him to Wang Daji's side. Wang Daji said angrily, "It's so annoying. I'm the heir of the Wang family, and my father is the president of the Jiangnan Chamber of Commerce. This neon woman doesn't know what's good for her and seduces that gigolo." Li San said with a smirk, "Young master, there's no need to be angry about this. Isn't it just a neon woman? It's very easy to get her into bed." Wang Daji turned to look at him and asked, "Do you have a way?" Li San looked around and saw that no one was paying attention. He took out a small glass bottle from his pocket, which contained a transparent potion. He said in a low voice, "Young master, this is the first thing my friend got from abroad. I heard that it's a high-tech product. Even if an elephant drinks it, it will immediately become estrus. Young master, you can do whatever you want." Wang Daji's eyes lit up and he said, "Is this thing that effective?" Li San said with a smirk, "Don't worry, young master. I've tried it. The effect is very good. There was a female singer in a bar some time ago. She used to be so arrogant when she saw me. Since she used this thing, she is now a little sheep when she sees me." "Great." Wang Daji then said, "But how do I use this thing? There are too many people here. I'm afraid I can't." Li San said, "Young master, it's very simple. The new manager of Dreamy Jiangnan is my uncle. Wait a minute. I'll find out which room this woman lives in and then put this thing in her water dispenser. She will definitely drink water when she goes back. Then, young master's chance will come. Will this work? She's the leader of the Neon delegation. It'll be troublesome if something goes wrong." Li Saner is lewd. He smiled and said, "Young master, you don't have to worry about that. As long as you sleep with a woman, it'll be like a different person. Just like that female singer of mine. She was a tiger before, but now she's a sheep. And I've long heard that Japanese women are even more like this. Once you get them into bed, they're no different from those in the porn. Wang Daji thought about it and agreed. Yagyu Yukaim was like a different person after seeing Qin Haodong. He no longer hesitated. He excitedly patted Li San on the shoulder and said, "Hurry up and do it. As long as you succeed, I will reward you with 1,000,000 yuan. All right. Thank you, young master." When Li San heard the reward of 1,000,000 yuan, he immediately ran out. It was easy for him to find out the room number of Yagyu Yukaim's room. Then, he secretly opened the door and slipped in. Yagyu Yukaim was too careless. After breaking through to the Heaven Ninja level, she felt that ordinary people could not threaten her at all. Not only did she not bring a bodyguard, but there were also no protective measures in the room, which made it easy for Li San to take advantage of the loophole. He poured the transparent bottle of potion into the water dispenser. After thinking about it, he was afraid that the amount of potion would not be enough, which would delay his 1,000,000 yuan. He took out 2 small transparent bottles from his pocket and poured all the potion into them. "I'm sure young master will be able to play to his heart's content. Who knows, he might even reward me." Li San was lewd. He glanced at the water dispenser with a smile, then turned around and slipped out. Soon, he returned to the banquet. When he saw Wang Daji, he nodded proudly. Wang Daji knew that it was done, so he turned his eyes to the banquet again. Looking at Yagyu Yukaim's plump figure, he kept swallowing his saliva. At this time, the initiator of today's banquet, Gao Fang, the director of the investment promotion agency, was holding a glass of wine with Miyashiro Yoshida, the deputy head of the Neon delegation. When he saw Yagyu Yukaim holding each other tightly, Gao Fang's eyes flashed with a smile. This young man was really used to being dissolute. He even wanted to chase after foreign women. However, it was undeniable that with Yagyu Yukaim's appearance and figure, every normal man would be attracted to her. He raised his glass to Miyashiro Yoshida, who was next to him. "Mr. Miyashiro, it seems that young people have a common language. I wish the business elites of our 2 countries a happy cooperation." Miyashiro Yoshida was a Neon man in his 40s. He was a typical short man. He also raised his glass and gently touched Gao Fang's glass, but he was very disapproving. He knew Yagyu Yukaim's character very well. In Neon, as long as a man knew Yagyu Yukaim's name, no one dared to approach her. The ignorant were fearless. He was afraid that it would not be long before this young man from Wuxia would be kicked in the balls or his penis would be broken. No matter what, he was destined to not have a good end. Otherwise, Yagyu Yukaim's nickname would not have the word demon in it. In the venue, after Qin Haodong heard Yagyu Yukaim's words, his expression did not change. There was no fear or shock. Instead, he reached out and touched her hand. He said playfully, "Miss Yagyu's hand is so smooth. It feels good. Aren't you afraid that I'll kill you?" Yagyu Yukaim's smile was still charming, but her voice was cold. "I'm not afraid." Qin Haodong said with a smile, "Although the people of your Yagyu family hate me to the bone, if you want to kill me, you won't choose this place. After all, this is a gathering organized by the Wuxia officials. I can be sure that at least you won't do anything to me now." After listening to him, Yagyu Yukaim's expression froze for a moment. Then, she smiled charmingly. "Yes, you're very smart. I like smart men. I also like women with big breasts and big buttocks like you." Qin Haodong smiled wickedly. Then, he put his arm around Yagyu Yukaim's slender waist and pulled her into his arms. Feeling the 2 peaks on her chest tightly squeezed together with Qin Haodong's solid chest, the smile on Yagyu Yukaim's face disappeared. Then, she said with a murderous look, "Do you believe that I'll kill you now?" "Of course I don't believe it. If you wanted to kill me, you didn't have to go through so much trouble. Why did you need to use 3 billion yuan to buy the wholesale market of medicinal materials? Even if the Yagyu family has a lot of money, they shouldn't spend it like this. Moreover, the Yagyu family doesn't seem to have much money now. What do you think? Am I right, Miss Yukaim? I guess you must have other purposes for coming to Huaxiao. You won't do anything to me before you achieve your purpose, right? After that, he ignored Yagyu Yukaim's murderous eyes. His big hand slid down again and directly blocked the plump area below her waist. Yagyu Yukaim's body trembled slightly. This place had never been touched by anyone. At this time, it was unscrupulously occupied by this abominable Huaxia man in front of her. After the two of them looked at each other for a full minute, Yagyu Yukaim smiled charmingly again. It seems that you know a lot about our Yagyu family. I don't know how much you know about me. Aren't you afraid that I'll kick your balls now? Qin Haodong said with a smile, I know. You're a two-faced beauty, a perverted woman with a split personality. Your cultivation is very high, and you like to kick other people's balls. But you don't seem to be worried about this place. As Yagyu Yukaim spoke, she exerted force with her lower abdomen and pushed forward. Of course I'm not worried, because I know you're an ambitious woman. You won't do anything to me before completing the task. But what if I complete the task? I'll cut you into 8 pieces and feed you to the dogs. When she said this, Yagyu Yukaim gritted her teeth. Her voice was extremely cold because she felt that the strength of Qin Haodong's hands was getting stronger and stronger, as if they were going to be embedded in her flesh. We'll talk about the future in the future. You're a bastard who doesn't take advantage of others. Chapter 393. Yagyu Yukaim's palm was full of strength and she was determined to kill him. But then she was surprised to find that the palm, which could have broken a stone tablet, became weak. It had no lethality when it hit the back of Qin Haodong's head. In the end, it was as if she was hugging Qin Haodong's neck. But in the eyes of others, she turned from passive to active and kissed Qin Haodong passionately. After a short period of sluggishness, Yagyu Yukaim pushed Qin Haodong away and asked in horror, What did you do to me? Qin Haodong licked his lips and said playfully, How is it? It tastes good, doesn't it? Yagyu Yukaim gathered her internal force again, but there was still no reaction. Now she had lost the surging internal force of a heavenly ninja and became no different from ordinary people. She had just entered the supreme power realm, but now she suddenly became an ordinary person, which made her extremely frightened. She shouted again, Tell me, what did you do to me? Qin Haodong said, You have a face like a peach blossom and a heart like a scorpion. You have a changeable temperament and superb skills. Someone said this to me about Miss Yukaim. How could I not be fully prepared in the face of a supreme power realm expert like you? You can only blame yourself. Why did you buy the Chinese medicine wholesale market in advance? In our Huaxia language, this is called beating the grass to scare the snake. At this time, Yagyu Yukaim still seemed to be snuggling in Qin Haodong's arms. She wanted to push Qin Haodong away, but she couldn't do it without internal force. On the contrary, she was hugged tighter and tighter. Tell me quickly, where is my internal force? Where is my cultivation? What did you do to me? At this time, Yagyu Yukaim couldn't listen to anything else. She just wanted to know how her internal force disappeared and whether it could be recovered. Don't worry, listen to me slowly. Qin Haodong's face showed a smile that could fascinate all women. He said, I'm a doctor. Although I have my own unique means, when I kissed you just now, I put something called cultivation dissipation powder into your mouth, so that's what it is now. How about it? It tastes good, doesn't it? I just refined it for you this afternoon. After learning about Yagyu Yukaim's cultivation, Qin Haodong did make some preparations in the afternoon and refined the cultivation dissipation powder. He was worried that he could not find a chance to poison her, but Yagyu Yukaim came to him herself. Kissing the Japanese woman just now was fake. His real purpose was to give her the cultivation dissipation powder. Despicable. You Chinese are too despicable. Yagi Yukaim was extremely angry. She waved her small fists and kept hitting Qin Haodong's chest. In the eyes of others, this was a flirtation after a passionate kiss. If you want to talk about despicable, it's your Yagyu family that was despicable first. You sent 100 masters to sneak attack me and kidnapped my sister. Now you've been sent here to stir up trouble. Qin Haodong patted her smooth back and said, Miss Yukaim, although you are extremely talented in martial arts, it must not be easy to reach the level of Heaven Ninja. What you should consider now is how to restore your cultivation, not quarrel with me. My cultivation can be restored. Yagi Yukaim's emotions slowly calmed down. She looked at Qin Haodong and said, Don't forget, this is a party held by the Chinese government. You poisoned me here. Aren't you afraid that I'll report you now? Qin Haodong smiled and said, Miss Yukaim, you underestimate my medical skills. No matter which hospital you go to now, the results of the examination are very healthy. How can you say that I poisoned you? As for genuine qi, I'm afraid no hospital can test it. Yagi Yukaim stared at Qin Haodong fiercely. There was monstrous anger in her eyes, but she couldn't kill people with her eyes. After a while, she sighed and said, Tell me, how can I restore my cultivation? Tell me your conditions. Yes, this is the right attitude to talk about things. Qin Haodong said with a smile, We should have a good talk now, but this is not the place to talk. Where do you live, Miss Yukaim? We can go to your room and have a good talk. The two of them had been hugging each other for a while. The dance music had been changed 3 times. If this went on, it would definitely arouse other people's suspicion, so Qin Haodong proposed to go to Yagi Yukaim's room. At this time, Yagi Yukaim had no other choice. Nothing was more important than restoring her cultivation. She said, in room 805 of the dreamy Jiangnan Hotel. Okay, now we should move on to the next step of in-depth communication. Qin Haodong smiled at her playfully, then put his arms around her slender waist. The two of them were tightly pressed together as they walked to the guest room of the dreamy Jiangnan Hotel together. This is crazy. What's going on? They just danced twice, and then they went to roll sheets. Everyone present was shocked as they looked at the backs of the two of them. Then, they showed different expressions. Some were shocked, some were jealous, and some were envious. They could roll with a super beauty like Yagi Yukaim. Sheets, this is the dream of countless men. Wang Daji was so angry that he was about to go crazy. This was the woman he liked. How could she be taken away by that toy boy? And this time, he was more direct. He went directly to the hotel to open a room. In the room, Miyashiro Yoshida, the deputy head, was also very shocked by Yagi Yukaim's unusually open behavior. However, instead of persuading her, he added fuel to the fire and helped her. Although he was the deputy head, his status could not be compared with Yagi Yukaim's. She was the eldest princess of the Yagyu family and the daughter of Yagyu Shinji. She could do whatever she wanted, but he had to do a good job of cleaning up after her. Otherwise, once the scandal was exposed, he might not be able to bear the consequences. As he thought of this, he called a bodyguard next to him and ordered, "Pass down my order. Don't tell anyone about Miss Yukaim's matter. Furthermore, Miss Yukaim will no longer participate in our expedition team's activities from now on." After a series of orders were issued, Miyashiro Yoshida directly created an opportunity for Yagi Yukaim and Qin Haodong to date. If Yagi Yukaim knew that her deputy was so good at it, it was unknown how she would feel. Gao Feng said with a smile, "Young people are really impatient. They are developing too fast. However, this is also a good thing. It has a very good role in promoting the friendship between our country and Neon." As the person in charge of the banquet, he was very happy to see Qin Haodong and Yagi Yukaim do this kind of thing that was beyond friendship. At the same time, he admired and envied Qin Haodong's way of picking up girls. His efficiency was too high. Qin Haodong and Yagi Yukheim entered the hotel together. They left so openly. In the eyes of others, the two of them were glued to each other and had deep feelings for each other. Along the way, Yagi Yukheim calmly accepted other people's gazes. There was even a charming smile on her face. She had no other choice now. In order to restore her cultivation, she could only listen to Qin Haodong's arrangements. She had thought that with her heaven ninja cultivation, she could do whatever she wanted in Jiangnan City. She did not expect that as soon as she saw this man, her biggest advantage would disappear. She had turned from a master to an ordinary person. "Miss Yukheim, why do I feel that you are a little unconvinced?" As Qin Haodong walked, he reached out his hand and pinched her waist. Yagi Yukheim's body trembled slightly. After losing the genuine qi to protect her body seemed to have suddenly become a lot more sensitive. Qin Haodong's casual movement made her feel like she had been electrocuted. Then, she became more and more soft and powerless. Her whole body was hanging on Qin Haodong's body. "This time, I was not prepared. If it happens again, I will kill you directly when we meet." Yagi Yukheim was still smiling like a flower, but her tone was full of monstrous killing intent. The more strange her body felt, the more humiliated and angry her heart was. She wanted to tear the man in front of her to pieces. Qin Haodong did not care. No matter how fierce this woman was, the initiative was firmly in his hands. He said with a smile, "Girl, if I were you, I wouldn't say that. What if I don't give you the antidote?" As he spoke, he slapped Yagi Yukheim's buttocks twice. It was an unintentional move, but Yagi Yukheim felt as if she had been electrocuted. She immediately became soft and her whole body lay on his body. This time, Qin Haodong noticed her strangeness. He shouted in surprise, "Big sister, how long has it been since you touched a man? You became like this with just a few pats." Yagi Yukheim simply closed her eyes and stopped talking. In fact, she did not have any strength to quarrel with Qin Haodong. Qin Haodong smiled playfully. He did not expect this neon heavenly ninja to be so sensitive. He carried her and continued to walk quickly. Soon, they arrived at room 805. After entering the room, he raised his hand and directly threw Yagi Yukheim onto the big bed in the room. At this time, Yagi Yukheim was still weak. She did not even have the strength to sit up straight. She was half lying on the bed, revealing a large part of the scenery inside her collar. Coupled with her flushed cheeks, she looked extremely attractive. Qin Haodong glanced at her and said with a smile, "Big sister, are you trying to seduce me? Let me tell you, I have a strong willpower. For a neon woman like you, I won't have any thoughts even if you take off all your clothes." Yagi Yukheim looked at him with grief, indignation, humiliation, and hatred. This guy had obviously taken advantage of her along the way, but now it seemed that she had taken advantage of him. In Neon, she was definitely a goddess-like figure. She was usually high and mighty. Any man who provoked her would be kicked in the balls. She had never thought that one day she would fall into such a situation and be humiliated by the Wuxia man in front of her. If she was given a knife now, she would not hesitate to stab it into Qin Haodong's heart. "Well, don't look at me like that. I don't want to spend too much time with a woman like you. Let's hurry up and talk about the things between us." Qin Haodong looked at Yagi Yukheim's lazy and weak appearance. He turned around and took a glass of water from the water dispenser. He handed it over and said, "Drink a glass of water first. You'll feel refreshed, and then we'll have a good talk." After that, he also felt a little thirsty, so he also took a glass of water and drank it. Yagi Yukheim also wanted to recover her strength as soon as possible. After such a long time, she was really thirsty. She took the glass of water and drank it. It had to be said that the potion that Li San got was indeed colorless and tasteless. Neither of them noticed the difference in the water. After Yagi Yukime finished drinking, she gave the glass in her hand to Qin Haodong again, but she did not say anything. "Big sister, what do you mean? You didn't drink enough. Give me another glass." The glass of water just now made her feel much better, so she wanted to drink more to boost her spirit. "If you want to drink water, can't you get it yourself? Do you really think I'm your servant?" Although Qin Haodong said that, in order to save time, he turned around and took another glass of water and handed it to Yagi Yukime. Chapter 394. Yagi Yukime once again drank up the water in the cup. However, she felt that the cup was too small. It was not enough to drink one cup at a time. She simply kicked off her high heels, went to the water dispenser barefoot, and began to get water for herself. Compared with other neon women, Yagi Yukime was much taller. Even barefoot, she could reach more than 170 meters. What was more rare was that her figure was extremely hot. When she lowered her head to get water, her graceful curves were clearly shown. From Qin Haodong's angle, he could clearly see the scenery inside Yagi Yukime's neckline. This woman was really hot. As he sighed, he felt a little thirsty. He took another glass of water and drank it. In this way, the two of them surrounded the water dispenser. Yagi Yukime drank 4 glasses of water in a row. Then, she felt much better. Qin Haodong also drank 2 glasses. Putting down the cup in her hand, Yagi Yukime sat on the bed again. She looked at Qin Haodong and said, "Okay, now we can talk. Tell me, how can you give me the antidote for the cultivation dissipation powder? Don't rush to talk about this." Qin Haodong pulled a chair and sat on it. He said, "First, tell me the purpose of your visit to Wuxia. That way, you can show your sincerity." Yagi Yukime said, "We are a delegation. Naturally, we came to Wuxia to talk about business. Miss Yukime, if that's the case, there is no need for us to talk anymore. In the future, you should be an honest businessman and come to Wuxia to talk about business." As Qin Haodong spoke, he stood up and was about to leave the room. "Wait a minute." Yagi Yukime hurriedly stopped him. As a once powerful heaven ninja, she couldn't stand the weakness at that time. She didn't even want to stay for a minute. "Well, I'll tell you everything. The main purpose of my visit to Wuxia this time is to get the formula of the blood revival elixir from your hands." "That's good. The teacher should have told you that honesty is the virtue of every one of us." As Qin Haodong spoke, he stretched out his hand and patted Yagi Yukime's delicate cheek. It was just a casual action, but for some reason, when his fingers touched Yagi Yukime's smooth skin, there was a trace of heat in his heart. Yagi Yukime was the same. Her cheek was not her sensitive area, but after being touched by Qin Haodong, she felt unusually hot, as if something was about to erupt from the bottom of her heart. This feeling made her let out a soul-stirring moan. She forcefully suppressed the impulse in her heart and shouted, "You! Don't touch me! What are you doing? It's as if I've taken advantage of you. I've said it before, a foreign woman like you, even if you strip naked, I won't look at you." Qin Haodong sat back in his chair and said, "Why did you spend so much money to buy the wholesale market of traditional Chinese medicine?" He was just a simple man, a man who could bring her a strong temptation. Qin Haodong also felt that something was wrong with him. He stretched out his hand and rubbed his somewhat swollen and numb cheeks. He thought to himself, what's going on? Although this Japanese woman was very beautiful, she was not enough to make him lose control. However, at this moment, the second in command had completely lost control. He raised his head and his eyes once again fell on the lofty scenery on Yagi Yukime's chest. He could not help but gulp and swallow hard. The second in command became more and more out of control. From the beginning to the end, he did not have any thoughts about this Japanese woman. Because of this, even when he had just kissed Yagi Yukime, his body had not reacted at all. However, the situation had suddenly changed. He remembered what he had just said. Even if this woman took off her clothes, he would not have any thoughts. However, now he could not wait to immediately throw her on the bed. What was going on? Otherwise, a thought flashed through his mind. Could it be that he had been drugged? How could this be possible? He could still think about this matter with his remaining reason. However, Yagi Yukime, who had drunk 5 glasses of water in succession, had completely lost her mind. Her 2 blood-red eyes flashed with the flame of desire. Her whole body had been submerged by the most primitive impulse. I want, Yagi Yukime said in a low voice. She seemed to be confiding and moaning. Then she casually tore off her red evening dress and exposed her body, which could arouse the desire of countless men, to the air. Seeing everything in front of him, Qin Haodong's mind exploded, as if countless explosives had been detonated. His whole body was completely detonated. At this moment, he was sure that he had indeed been drugged. It would not have mattered if he had been alone. As long as he was given an hour, he could use his internal force to force the aphrodisiac out of his body. However, he could not do it now. There was also Yagi Yukime, who had completely lost herself. Without giving him any time to react, she directly jumped over. Don't come over, don't come over. Qin Haodong bit the tip of his tongue and tried to keep the last trace of sobriety. Then, he raised his hand and poked the acupoint on Yagi Yukime's chest. As long as Yagi Yukime stopped moving, he could detoxify himself first and then detoxify Yagi Yukime. To his surprise, Yagi Yukime's movement did not stop at all. She suddenly threw him to the ground. The moment he fell to the ground, he realized that the cultivation dissipation powder could not really remove the genuine qi in Yagi Yukime's body. It only cut off the connection between the internal qi and the divine awareness. Therefore, Yagi Yukime could not feel the existence of the genuine qi in her body, let alone use it. This was the reason why Qin Haodong was anxious to talk to her about the matter. The cultivation dissipation powder had a time limit. Once 12 hours passed, Yagi Yukime's cultivation would immediately recover. At that time, she would be an expert at the supreme power realm again. However, in fact, there was still a powerful genuine qi flowing in Yagi Yukime's body. There was a big gap between their cultivation, so as soon as the acupoint was poked, it was automatically opened by the genuine qi. It did not have any effect at all. However, it was too late. He had been pushed to the ground by Yagi Yukime, who had fallen into madness. Then, she tore off his clothes quickly and kissed him fiercely. Yagi Yukime obviously had no experience in kissing. Her kiss was very clumsy and rough. However, there was no need for any skills at this time. This had completely stimulated the medicine in Qin Haodong's body, making his last trace of reason disappear. The only thing left was the most primitive reaction of a man to a woman. The medicine was so strong that even Li San himself did not know that when his friend had bought the medicine, the seller had said that after taking the medicine, even if he faced an old sow, he would not be able to control his body, let alone Yagi Yukime, who was extremely beautiful and sexy. Outside the room, Wang Daji and Li San had been secretly following them. When they saw Qin Haodong and Yagi Yukime enter the room together, they suddenly became like ants on a hot pan. Li San comforted him and said, "Young master, you don't have to worry too much. Maybe they just went in to talk about something. They will come out later. Discuss my ass. Look at them. How could they possibly discuss business? They're clearly going to scram. They are obviously going to f*ck off the bed." Wang Daji slapped Li San's head and shouted, "Boy, hurry up and think of a way. Otherwise, the neon woman will be eaten by the gigolo later. All my efforts will be in vain." Li San was also stunned. Things were far beyond his control. He rubbed his head and said, "Young master, I guess they must have drunk the water from the water dispenser. How about I take a few brothers in and catch the gigolo?" You can go in and sleep with the neon woman. Bullshit. Wang Daji slapped Li San's head again and scolded, do you know who the King Gigolo is? He is Qin Haodong. He can fight dozens of people alone. You are just a few rotten garlic. You can't even stand a finger of his. Young master, let's forget about it. We can find another opportunity later. Anyway, there are many beautiful women. Wang Daji slapped Li San's face again and said, are you King Pig? I'm about to take off my pants. You want me to find someone else? Chapter 395. Wang Daji was really annoyed to the extreme. He was obsessed with Yagi Yukaim, the Japanese woman, and he couldn't wait to press her down on the bed. As a result, he had worked hard and even used the medicine, but his enemy, Qin Haodong, had taken advantage of it. He couldn't accept it in any case. Hurry up and find a way. Even if I can't have sex with that woman, I can't let that gigolo have it. Otherwise, I'll cut you today. Li San was completely dumbfounded. He had wanted to please his new master and earn some money to spend, but he didn't expect it to turn out like this. Qin Haodong and Yagi Yukaim had entered the room. They were fighting fiercely, and he had put the 3 bottles of medicine in her. Now, he couldn't stop them, nor could he beat them. It was impossible to stop them. However, when he saw Wang Daji's fiery eyes, he had to think of a way. Suddenly, Li San said, young master, I have an idea. We can call the police. When the police come, they can drive that gigolo away. Call the police. They're both willing. Can the police do anything? Li San said, young master, of course, we can't tell the truth. Just say that someone is raping her. The police will definitely come to see. At that time, whether it's true or not, they can't be together. The sheets. Wang Daji thought about it. It seemed to be a good idea. He said, well, you call the police now. Hurry up. If you wait a little longer, they will really be together. Now, Li San couldn't care less. He directly took out his mobile phone and called the police. Hello, comrade police. I'm reporting a case. It's not me. Miss Yagi Yukaim, the head of the Neon delegation, was raped in room 805 of the dreamy Jiangnan Hotel. The person on the other side of the phone was an experienced policeman. After listening to him, he immediately asked, who are you? How do you know? Li San hesitated and said, I'm a waiter at the banquet. I saw a man drag Miss Yagi Yukaim into the room with my own eyes, so I reported it. Sir, what's your name? Can you leave your contact information? I'm just doing what's right. Anyway, I've already said it. It's up to you whether you care or not. Then Li San hung up the phone in a hurry. What a joke. How could he leave his name when he called the police? He could not use this phone number in the future. If the police came looking for him, they would say that his phone was stolen. He turned his head and said to Wang Daji flatteringly, you didn't even leave your name. Do you think the police won't come? Wang Daji said with some concern, you didn't even leave your name. Do you think the police won't come? Li San said proudly, that's impossible. I was afraid of that, so I told you the identity of the neon woman. This woman's identity is very special. Whether it's true or not, the police dare not be careless. Otherwise, it will be troublesome if something really happens. If Yagi Yukaim was taken away by the police after getting a room with someone, it would be the biggest scandal of the delegation. He then said, Mr. Officer, Mr. Qin Haodong is a young talent in Wuxia. Miss Yukaim is completely willing to be with him. Everyone can see this clearly. There is no coercion at all. I can guarantee you this as the deputy head of the Neon delegation. He was only a peripheral member of the Yagyu family. He did not know that 100 elites of the Yagyu family had been destroyed in Huaxia, nor did he know the main purpose of coming to Huaxia this time. He did not know that Qin Haodong was the enemy of the Yagyu family, so his tone was very respectful when he talked about Qin Haodong. When Nalan Wuxia heard Qin Haodong's name, her heart was moved. This playboy had just been separated for a day. How could he get together with a neon woman? No wonder the slovenly old Taoist said that he was destined to be in love. Gao Fong said again, Captain Nalan, Mr. Qin and Miss Yukai must be talking about cooperation. This is a prank, so please go back. After listening to the two of them, Nalan Wuxia already understood what had happened. Someone must have wanted to play a prank on Qin Haodong. If she found out who this guy was, she would definitely teach him a lesson. Now that things had been clearly understood, she said to the two of them, well, since you two have promised, I will go back first. After that, she waved her hand and led several policemen away. Then, she turned around and walked out of the hotel. When Wang Daji saw that Nalan Wuxia was going to understand the situation, he knew that things were going to be bad. He turned his head and scolded Li San, if you want to call the police, then call the police. Why do you have to mention the neon woman's name? Li San said awkwardly, I was afraid that the police wouldn't come. I thought that when the police came, they would directly rush to 805 and take that little white face away. I didn't expect that woman to be so cunning. She actually went to understand the situation first. You good for nothing, you can't do anything. Wang Deshang scolded again. At this time, Nalan Wuxia was ready to leave with her people. After doing so much, he didn't want all his previous efforts to be in vain. Thinking of the close relationship between Qin Haodong and Nalan Wuxia, he felt that if Nalan Wuxia knew that Yagi Yukaim was in the room with Qin Haodong, she would definitely be furious. If it was Qin Haodong in the room, he would definitely fly into a rage and rush over to take Qin Haodong away. Even if she didn't catch him, she would catch him in the act. At that time, even if she couldn't get that neon woman, she would definitely not let Qin Haodong get her. After this idea appeared in his mind, the more he thought about it, the more excited he became. He immediately trotted to catch up with Nalan Wuxia. Captain Nalan, wait for me. Do you know? The one who got a room in 805 is Qin. Hearing his shout, Miyashiro Yoshida's face immediately sank. As the deputy head of the Neon delegation, of course, he hoped that this matter would end here. He didn't want the whole city to know about it. However, seeing that the police had left, this guy shouted again. It was obvious that he was making trouble. Because of his dissatisfaction, Miyashiro Yoshida gently moved his toes forward. Before Wang Daji could finish his words, he felt his feet stumble. He completely lost his center of gravity and fell forward. In the air, Wang Daji grabbed forward in a hurry. His right hand happened to grab the hem of Nalan Wuxia's police skirt. Fortunately, as an internal strength warrior, Nalan Wuxia's reaction was fast enough. She raised her hand to press the skirt, which avoided the embarrassment of being torn off. Even so, the hem of the skirt was torn off by Wang Daji, exposing her snow-white thighs to the air. As the eldest daughter of the Nalan family and a famous female Tyrannosaurus in the police force, it was the first time that Nalan Wuxia's skirt had been torn off. This made her immediately furious. Bastard! You're courting death. Poor Wang Daji, who had just gotten up from the ground, was slapped to the ground by Nalan Wuxia. Then she kicked him in the lower abdomen. This kick was so powerful that Wang Daji was kicked into the air and fell into the fountain more than 10 meters away. Bastard, you're lucky this time. Nalan Wuxia vented her anger, tidied up her skirt, and then left the hotel in a hurry with her people. Wang Daji fell into the pool. He was in so much pain that he choked a few mouthfuls of water when he was about to shout. Fortunately, Li San and several other bodyguards ran over in time and fished him out. Young master, what should we do? What else can we do? Take me back quickly. In any case, Wang Daji was too ashamed to stay there. He had lost too much face today. He could no longer care about Qin Haodong and Yagi Yukaim in room 805. Amidst the laughter of the crowd, he was carried out of the hotel by several bodyguards. The two people in the room didn't know what had happened outside. Under the powerful effect of the potion, they only had the most primitive desire. They only knew that they were constantly satisfied with each other's bodies. From the bed to the ground, from the balcony to the bathroom, every corner of the room was left with traces of fighting. Time passed, and the banquet was over, but the two people still hadn't left the room. Miyashiro Yoshida was concerned about Yagi Yukaim's safety. He wanted to check the situation, but he felt the fierce fighting before he reached the door. He couldn't help but shake his head. Miss was really amazing. She had been indifferent to men for many years. How could she become so crazy all of a sudden? He asked two men to guard the door and told them not to let anyone disturb them. Then he went back to rest. Chapter 396. Yagi Yukaim had never experienced such a thing before. This time, under the effect of the medicine, she was almost in a crazy state all night. Later, although she slowly recovered some of her consciousness, she had already tasted the sweetness of this kind of thing. She felt a peak that she had never felt before. Most of the medicine's effects were still playing a role, which made her unable to stop. Even though she knew that the man opposite her was Qin Haodong, the enemy of the Yagyu family, she could not control her body. After all, Qin Haodong drank less than 2 glasses of water, so he sobered up faster. He looked at the woman who was constantly galloping on him and shouted with annoyance, "Yagi Yukaim, what are you doing? Get off me!" Maybe it was because his shout was too weak, but Yagi Yukaim ignored him and did not intend to stop. Instead, she held his head and kissed him again. After another hour or so, Yagi Yukaim finally stopped. She turned over and rolled to the side, gasping for breath. Qin Haodong felt very bad. He felt that his whole body was about to be squeezed dry from the inside out. His mouth was so dry that it was going to smoke. Water. Drink water. This was his only thought at the moment. After separating from Yagi Yukaim, he immediately jumped out of bed, ran to the water dispenser, filled a large glass of water, and drank it all in one breath. Yagi Yukaim was the same. A night of non-stop fighting had made her lose too much water. Seeing Qin Haodong drink water, she also ran over, took a large glass of water, and drank it all in one breath. Because she drank too fast, the water flowed down from the corner of her mouth and dripped on her chest. If other men saw this scene, they would be very excited. At this time, Qin Haodong did not react at all. He took another glass of water. The two of them acted as if they were competing, drinking one glass after another. Soon, each of them had drunk 4 large glasses of water. The cool feeling finally made the two of them feel much more comfortable. Yagi Yukaim bounced back to the bed without caring about her image, while Qin Haodong sat on the chair next to her. He glanced at Yagi Yukaim's body, which was still red. At this time, this woman was full of temptation. He quickly looked away, but then he saw the red on the bed sheet. This was not surprising. It could be seen from Yagi Yukaim's reaction last night that she had no experience in this area. However, this was only the beginning. Driven by her instincts, she soon became incomparably familiar with this most primitive movement. She was probably already an expert in this aspect. Just as he was thinking, Yagi Yukaim said in a cold voice, "Did you drug me?" She knew very well that if she hadn't been stimulated by drugs, she wouldn't have become like this. She definitely wouldn't have gone against her family's archenemy. Bed. The feeling she had just experienced was still fresh in her memory. That primal drive from her body was too terrifying. She couldn't resist it at all. She couldn't stop even if she wanted to. However, she was not a teenage girl, so she did not cry. On the contrary, she looked at Qin Haodong with anger and hatred. At the same time, she was also thinking about the ins and outs of this matter. Are you *King big-breasted and brainless? When it came to poisoning, Qin Haodong immediately became angry. Have you ever seen someone poison himself? Even if I were to poison someone, I wouldn't poison a neon woman like you. He was really very unhappy now. He had so many relationships with his confidants that had not been resolved yet. He didn't expect that he would sleep with this neon woman in a muddle. What was going on? However, no matter what he said, Yagi Yukaim's eyes still released a deep hatred. She gritted her teeth and said word by word, I'm going to kill you. Qin Haodong suddenly stood up and shouted, kill me? I'm going to kill you. You were the one who pushed me down, okay? However, after saying that, he immediately realized that the woman in front of him had reached the supreme power realm. He quickly turned his head and looked out of the window. He saw that the sun had just risen and there was still some time before the cultivation dissipation powder lost its effect. He felt much more at ease. However, he didn't expect that although he didn't have cultivation, this did not affect Yagi Yukaim's hatred for him. As an extremely proud woman, she didn't expect to lose her innocence in this way. The more Yagi Yukaim thought about it, the angrier she became. She suddenly rushed toward Qin Haodong. I'm going to kill you. Due to the suddenness of the incident, Qin Haodong did not have any mental preparation. Yagi Yukaim pounced on him. Her plump body fell into his arms. Her two arms tightly strangled his neck. The two of them were entangled again. Yagi Yukaim hadn't recovered her cultivation yet. Of course, Qin Haodong didn't care about this kind of attack. However, he was surprised to find that the second in command had stood up again, which almost made him collapse. Before he could figure out what was going on, he found that Yagi Yukaim's eyes in front of him had also become blurred. The two hands that had been strangling his neck slowly lost their strength. In the end, they hugged each other. Then, her delicate red lips pressed against his again. What the hell, do you want to do it again? After the shock, he immediately realized the problem. The water was from the water dispenser. Originally, he thought that someone had done something to it at the banquet. Now it seemed that the problem was in the water dispenser. That was to say, before they came back, someone had already put the medicine in the water dispenser. The purpose was to make them have sex. However, it was too late to understand at this time. His heart was getting more and more restless, and his body was getting hotter and hotter. Slowly, he was lost with Yagi Yukaim again. When Qin Haodong opened his eyes again, there was still a ray of sunshine outside the window. However, it had changed from the initial sunrise to the current sunset, which meant that it was already evening. He turned his head to the side and saw that Yagi Yukaim was also looking at him with red eyes. However, at this time, her eyes had lost the blurriness just now and were full of hatred again. This kind of hateful eyes immediately made Qin Haodong sober up. He suddenly sat up. It was less than an hour from 24 hours. Once this woman recovered her cultivation, she would really kill him. Don't look at me like that. I'm also a victim. His voice was a little hoarse. After such a series of battles, both of them were seriously dehydrated. At this time, their throats were so dry that they were smoking. Yagi Yukaim glared at him again with murderous eyes. She turned her head and walked to the water dispenser. Out of instinct, she wanted to drink water. You can't drink any more. Qin Haodong was so scared that he trembled all over and hurriedly shouted, the problem is in the water. Someone must have done something in the water. Yagi Yukaim was not grateful for Qin Haodong's reminder at all. She turned her head and said with killing intent again, I'm going to kill you. Qin Haodong said with annoyance, kill, kill, kill. I say, is there something wrong with your brain? You pushed me down twice. Why do you want to kill me? If you want to kill someone, it should be me who kills you. If you have the ability, then kill me. Otherwise, I will definitely kill you. Yagi Yukime gritted her teeth and said, I swear to God, I will definitely kill you. Qin Haodong suddenly became angry. He had just been drugged, and now he was threatened by this Japanese woman again and again. He said angrily, do you really think I don't dare to kill you? After that, he reached out and grabbed Yagi Yukime's neck, pressing her whole body against the wall behind her. Yagi Yukime did not struggle at all. After her neck was grabbed, her face became more and more swollen. However, her eyes still flashed with deep hatred, as if she wanted to eat Qin Haodong alive. As time went by, her lack of oxygen became more and more serious. She was about to suffocate to death, but the hatred in her eyes still did not diminish. Qin Haodong glanced at the plum-like bloodstain on the bed sheet. In the end, he sighed and withdrew his right hand. He was still too soft-hearted. No matter what, he could not kill the woman who had just slept with him. Yagi Yukime sat on the ground with a plop. First, she coughed violently for a while, then she gasped for breath. After she recovered, she said fiercely, Qin Haodong, do you dare not kill me? I will kill you sooner or later. You crazy woman, do you have to force me to kill you? Qin Haodong looked at Yagi Yukime fiercely. He grabbed the quilt on the bed and threw it on her, covering her body. Then, he put on his clothes again. Yagi Yukime, we should talk calmly. Yagi Yukime seemed to have calmed down a lot. She said, give me the antidote. Qin Haodong said, I can give you the antidote, but you have to promise not to make trouble for me in the future. That's impossible. You are the enemy of our Yagyu family, and you took away my innocence. Just wait for our Yagyu family's revenge. Qin Haodong said angrily, what's wrong with your brain? In that case, you can be an ordinary person for the rest of your life. After that, he turned his head and was about to leave. Yagi Yukime said coldly, if you dare to walk out of this room, I will immediately call the police and say that you raped me. Qin Haodong had a headache. If this woman called the police, it would be really troublesome. Although many people had seen them walk into the room voluntarily last night, who knew which bastard had done something in the water dispenser? This kind of thing could not be explained clearly in any way. Generally speaking, as a martial artist, he would not use such a despicable method. However, the woman in front of him was really unpredictable. She might really be able to do it. He turned around, frowned and said, what do you want? You're not really forcing me to kill you, are you? Yagi Yukime said, give me the antidote. I can promise not to call the police, and I won't do anything to the people around you. Well, I hope you can keep your promise. After Qin Haodong said that, he raised his finger slightly and a small black pill fell in front of Yagi Yukime. This is the antidote of the cultivation dissipation powder. After taking it, you can recover your strength within 24 hours. Yagi Yukime picked up the pill and threw it into her mouth without hesitation. Qin Haodong said, aren't you afraid that it's poison? Yagi Yukime said, you don't dare to kill me. At least for now, you don't dare. Everyone knows that we entered the room together. If I die, you won't be able to escape responsibility. Well, you win. Remember your promise. After Qin Haodong said that, he turned around and left the room. Then, a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. He naturally knew that the hatred between him and the Yagyu family could not be resolved. All he had said was to buy himself some time to prepare. The pill he had just given Yagi Yukime was naturally not the antidote, but another small pill made of the cultivation dissipation powder. The cultivation dissipation powder from the last time was about to fail, so he made another one. This way, he could buy himself another 24 hours. As long as he was prepared, it would be useless even if Yagi Yukime was a supreme power master. Yagi Yukime did not know this. She thought that she had successfully threatened Qin Haodong and got the antidote. Chapter 397. Qin Haodong went out of the room, took out 2 bottles of mineral water from the storage ring and gulped it down. Then he wiped his mouth and walked out of the hotel. Along the way, he found that the waiters in the hotel and the members of the Neon delegation all looked at him in a very strange way, as if they all admired him very much. He didn't know that in the past 24 hours, he and Yagi Yukime had made too much noise. It was not an exaggeration to describe it as earth-shattering. Almost everyone in the hotel had been alarmed. If Miyashiro Yoshida had not sent someone to guard the door, it would have attracted countless onlookers. Although these hotel waiters were experienced and knowledgeable, they had never seen such a fierce battle. Naturally, they admired Qin Haodong very much. The Neon woman was so fierce, but she was conquered by this guy. He was definitely a fierce man of Wuxia. It could be said that he had won glory for the country. The people of the Neon delegation were in a different mood. Yagi Yukime was known as a two-faced enchantress in Neon. No man dared to get close to her. However, this young man from Celestial Empire had slept with her after just one dance. Moreover, he had slept with her for so long. It really refreshed their worldview. Looking at Qin Haodong's back as he left, Miyashiro Yoshida was lost in thought. He did not understand why Miss Yukime suddenly acted out of character and went to bed with a man the first time they met. However, he was only a peripheral member of the Yagyu family and the deputy head of the investigation team, so it was not appropriate for him to ask about these things. Qin Haodong walked out of the dreamy Jiangnan hotel. When he was about to take a taxi, he saw a BMW off-road vehicle parked next to him. A tall woman was standing beside the car. It was Nalan Wuxia. "What's wrong? Great divine doctor, are you finally willing to come out?" Nalan Wuxia looked at him and said with a strange expression. Qin Haodong opened the door and sat in the passenger seat. He said to Nalan Wuxia, "Hurry up and drive. Why are you in such a hurry? Where are you going? Hurry up and find the nearest restaurant. I'm starving." He hadn't eaten for a full 24 hours and had been doing the most intense primitive exercise. He was so hungry that his eyes were green. "What? Are you so busy that you don't even have time to eat?" Nalan Wuxia said this, but she still started the car. "Hurry up and find a place. I'll talk to you later." Qin Haodong was really hungry and didn't want to wait any longer. Fortunately, he saw a bone soup noodle restaurant on the side of the road not far away. He quickly asked Nalan Wuxia to stop, and then rushed into the noodle restaurant like a gust of wind. After eating 3 bowls of bone noodles in a row, he patted his belly with satisfaction. Nalan Wuxia looked at him and said, "Are you so hungry? Have you been emptied by that Japanese woman?" You know all about it?" Qin Haodong said with slight embarrassment. "What do you think? Is that Neon woman obedient to you now?" Nalan Wuxia looked at Qin Haodong with an inscrutable expression. Thinking of Yagi Yukime's hateful eyes, Qin Haodong said with a wry smile, "Of course not. That woman is shouting that she wants to kill me right now. How is that possible? Didn't they say that Neon women are the most considerate to men? Especially after you've had sex, you'll become completely man-centered. Rumors, I can guarantee that this is definitely a rumor." Qin Haodong said bitterly. Nalan Wuxia pouted and said, "Isn't that so? Then why did you sleep with that Neon woman?" As she spoke, she had already revealed an unconcealable jealousy. After chasing Qin Haodong for so long, they were limited to holding hands and kissing. She didn't expect that in the blink of an eye, he would sleep with that Neon woman. "Do you think I wanted to?" Qin Haodong said with a wry smile, "I was drugged this time." He told the story of Yagi Yukime's arrival in Wuxia from beginning to end. Finally, he said, "I tried my best to give her the cultivation dissipation powder. I wanted to talk to her room and find out the purpose of the Yagyu family in Wuxia this time. I also wanted to solve the problem of the Chinese medicine wholesale market. I don't know who drugged the water dispenser and made things like this. I see. After listening to Qin Haodong's words, Nalan Wuxia finally felt a little better. She said, I know who drugged her. Who? Qin Haodong said angrily, if I find out who did it, I will sell him to Neon to be a male prostitute. Nalan Wuxia told him about the situation of receiving the police report last night and then said, I did some investigation after that. Wang Daji's bodyguard, Li San, knew which room Yagi Yukaim lived in before the incident. Later, Li San, also called the police, so I guess it must be Wang Daji who did it. Bastard, I won't spare him. After scolding, Qin Haodong then asked, why did he do this? What good would it do him if I had sex with that Neon woman? It seems that your brain was damaged by that Neon woman. Nalan Wuxia rolled her eyes at him and said, Wang Daji tried his best to drug her for himself. He must have taken a fancy to that Neon woman, but he didn't expect that he would make a wedding dress for you. Because of this, he called the police later. He wanted to stop you through the police, but he didn't succeed. Qin Haodong didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He didn't expect that he would be implicated. He said, Wang Daji is really courting death. He even dared to do something to a supreme power master. If I hadn't given Yagi Yukaim the cultivation dissipation powder, he wouldn't even know how he died. Nalan Wuxia said, is that Neon woman really that powerful? Qin Haodong nodded and said, although Yagi Yukaim is a bit abnormal, she is indeed a supreme power master. Nalan Wuxia said, why didn't you directly abolish her cultivation to avoid future troubles? Qin Haodong said with a wry smile, I also want to, but I need that ability. I don't have all the medicinal materials in my hands, so I can only configure the incomplete version of the cultivation dissipation powder. It's good enough to last for 24 hours. Nalan Wuxia said with some worry, what are you going to do in the future? The revenge of a supreme power master is terrible. Qin Haodong said, it doesn't matter. Yagi Yukaim will recover her cultivation in 24 hours. I still have enough time to prepare. Nalan Wuxia still said with some worry, can you do it? Should I arrest her first? Anyway, she came to Wuxia with bad intentions. Qin Haodong hurriedly said, that won't do. That woman is abnormal, and her cultivation is very high. Don't provoke her. Don't worry about me. As long as I have enough time to prepare, I am 100% sure that I can deal with her. Nalan Wuxia nodded and said, well, you must be careful. After that, they left the noodle house together. Qin Haodong asked Nalan Wuxia to send him back to Daddy's security company. Compared with Lin's villa, this place was more suitable for fighting with Yagi Yukaim. After Qin Haodong left, Yagi Yukaim asked someone to bring in a box of mineral water and food. In the next 24 hours, she didn't go out. Her eyes were fixed on the clock on the wall, and her eyes were full of hatred. She couldn't accept that she had lost her first time, and she couldn't accept that the other party was a Wuxia person. The man she couldn't tolerate the most was Qin Haodong. Finally, the long day passed. Qin Haodong didn't lie to her. When the clock jumped to the full 24 hours, there was a loud bang in her body. The huge genuine chi quickly established a connection with her divine awareness. The momentum of her whole body suddenly increased, and the feeling of power came back. From now on, she was Yagi Yukaim, a heaven-stage ninja. She would kill anyone who stood in her way. What she wanted to do was to kill Qin Haodong and take revenge. She walked out of the door, and there was a sword less than 1 meter long behind her. This was one of the most famous magic weapons in Neon, Dujijiri Yasutsuna. This sword had disappeared in Neon for many years, and it had been treasured by the Yagyu family as a family treasure. Before coming to Wuxia this time, Yagyu Shinji had personally given this magic weapon to Yagi Yukaim. Today, she would use this sword to kill Qin Haodong and avenge herself and the Yagyu family. In the past 2 days, Miyashiro Yoshida had been guarding outside Yagi Yukaim's room, for fear that something would happen to her. When he saw her go out, he quickly went forward and asked, Miss Yukaim, where are you going? It's none of your business. Just stay at home and watch. After Yagi Yukaim finished speaking, she strode out of the hotel. Looking at Yagi Yukaim, who was full of murderous intent, Miyashiro Yoshida looked inexplicable. Since Chin Haodong left, the young lady had become strange. What was going on? Did she voluntarily sleep with that Wuxia man? Did she sleep with him? Could it be that Wuxia man didn't satisfy her? That shouldn't be the case. He believed that no one else could have that kind of earth-shattering battle. If that couldn't satisfy the young lady, then her requirements were too high, right? Yagi Yukaim didn't know the complicated thoughts of her subordinates. She went out and went straight to the Daddy Security Company. As a heaven-stage ninja, she had her own unique means. She had already left a tracking mark on Chin Haodong. At this time, it was already night. The Daddy Security Company looked quiet, and everything was normal and orderly. Yagi Yukaim carefully sneaked into the Daddy Security Company. At a glance, she saw Chin Haodong set up a table on the training ground. He was drinking beer and eating chicken wings. He looked very relaxed. "You bastard, go to hell!" Yagi Yukaim shouted and appeared from the darkness. The Dojijiri Yasutsuna in her hand turned into a white lightning bolt and instantly pierced Chin Haodong's chest. She saw that she had killed her enemy, but she didn't feel any pleasure after revenge. That was because she didn't feel that the knife had touched anything. It was like stabbing the air. At this moment, the person who had been stabbed in the chest disappeared, and another figure appeared behind her. Chin Haodong said with a smile, "Yagi Yukaim, your heart is really like a snake. Anyway, we just rolled the bed. You want to kill me so soon? You're courting death." Yagi Yukaim wielded her knife like the wind. She turned around and cut Chin Haodong into two pieces again with the Dojijiri Yasutsuna. However, to her disappointment, it was still an illusion in front of her. This time, it was still in the air. Illusion? How could there be so many illusions? Just when she was extremely surprised, Chin Haodong's figure appeared behind her. The 1,000 blades in his hand turned into a sky full of knife shadows. This time, it should be real. Yagi Yukaim raised the Dojijiri Yasutsuna in her hand high, gathered all her strength, and slashed forward. The full power of a supreme power expert was terrible. The sharp knife chi brought people a sense of oppression, and the surrounding space seemed to collapse. But to her disappointment, the result was the same as the previous 2 times. Chin Haodong's figure disappeared again, and her knife slashed in the air again. "Despicable Wuxia man, come out!" Yagi Yukaim roared angrily at the surroundings. "What's the hurry? I'm here," Chin Haodong said and appeared in front of her again, still with a faint smile on his face. Chapter 398. Die. Yagi Yukaim once again waved the sword in her hand and rushed to Chin Haodong, but she felt her feet go soft and fell to the ground with a plop. Her heart sank. It was a familiar feeling, a familiar smell. This was cultivation dissolving powder. Never in his wildest dreams would he have thought that he would be afflicted with the cultivation dissipation powder under such circumstances. At this time, Chin Haodong stepped in front of her, squatted down, patted her face and said with a smile, "How is it? Is Miss Yukaim happy? Are you surprised?" As he spoke, he waved his hand and cast a spell to remove the illusory array beside him. After returning yesterday, he had made sufficient preparations and set up a formation on the training ground. What Yagi Yukaim had just seen was an illusion created by the illusory formation, which trapped her there. Of course, this alone was not enough. The illusory magic circle was not enough to subdue a supreme power master, so Chin Haodong crushed 10 cultivation dissipation powder pills in succession nearby to maintain the concentration of cultivation dissipation powder in the air for a long time. Then he deliberately provoked Yagi Yukaim to increase her breathing and blood circulation. Finally, he put her down on the ground. Despicable Wuxia person, if you have the guts, fight me with real swords and spears. Qin Haodong said with a smile, what are you talking about? I'm just a doctor. Medicine is my job. If you want to challenge martial artists, you can go to China's Wudang Mountain, Shaolin Temple, or any of the major sections. You can pick any of them. There's no need to keep chasing me. While speaking, he picked up the Dajijiri Yasutsuna that Yagi Yukaim had dropped on the ground. He looked at it and said, this knife is good. Seeing that the Yagyu family's treasure knife had fallen into Qin Haodong's hands, Yagi Yukaim shouted, put it down. That's my knife. Qin Haodong raised his hand and knocked on her plump buttocks with the knife. He laughed and said, what are you screaming for with a broken knife? Now even you are my captive. Bastard, I'll kill you. Being hit in the buttocks in public made Yagi Yukaim feel more and more humiliated. She pounced on Qin Haodong again. You really have big breasts and no brains. You're still fighting and killing at this time. Without cultivation, Yagi Yukaim was like a child in front of Qin Haodong. She had no ability to resist. He grabbed her arm and tied her up in the blink of an eye. After that, Qin Haodong touched her smooth cheek again and said, why did you come here? It would be great if we could live happily together. Why did you have to let me tie you up? Yagi Yukaim roared angrily, despicable Wuxia man, kill me if you dare, or I will definitely kill you. Do you really think I don't dare to kill you? Let me tell you, if I kill you now, no one will know. Then kill me, or I'll definitely kill you. Yagi Yukaim looked at Qin Haodong with fire in her eyes. At this time, she already hated this man. Qin Haodong looked at her and said with a smile, how can I kill you? I still want to sell you for money. After that, he put Yagi Yukaim on his shoulder and took her back to his room. Yagi Yukaim was nervous all over. She thought that Qin Haodong was going to do that kind of thing to her again. However, when she entered the room and saw two women who were as beautiful as her sitting in the room, she was relieved. Seeing Qin Haodong enter the door, Nailan Wushuang and Qi Wan both stood up. Nailan Wushuang asked, so fast? Is this the neon woman? They had already learned about Yagi Yukaim from Qin Haodong yesterday. Now that they saw him catch a supreme power expert in just a few minutes, they were extremely shocked. This woman is stupid and stupid. It's easy to catch her. Qin Haodong threw Yagi Yukaim on the sofa next to him. Yagi Yukaim was a heavenly ninja of neon. She was usually very proud, but now she had become a stupid woman in Qin Haodong's words. She immediately shouted angrily, bastard, you're stupid. I'll kill you sooner or later. Qin Haodong glared at her and said in a cold voice, if I say you're stupid, you're stupid. If you anger me again at this time, believe it or not, I'll spank you. Although Yagi Yukaim was extremely angry, she glanced at Nailan Wushuang and Qi Wan next to her. If she was spanked again in front of these two women, she really couldn't live. She could only suppress her anger and swallow the rest of her words. That's right. It's good to be obedient. Qin Haodong said to Qi Wan and Nailan Wushuang, let me introduce you. This is the eldest daughter of the Neon Yagyu family. She's a heaven-stage ninja, Miss Yagi Yukaim. Nailan Wushuang said, what are you going to do with her? Qin Haodong said, Miss Yagi Yukaim has a distinguished identity. Of course, I'll sell her for a good price. He had already thought about it before he did it. In fact, the best way was to kill this neon woman. After all, a supreme power expert was a great threat. But no matter what, the two of them had slept together. He couldn't be so cruel, nor could he send her back to the Yagyu family for nothing. Therefore, the best way was to sell her back to the Yagyu family. He believed that Yagyu Shinji would be willing to pay. He turned to Qi Wan and said, can you contact the master of the Yagyu family? It's better to make a video call. Otherwise, they won't believe that their heaven-stage ninja is in our hands. That's easy. Wait for me for a minute. Qi Wan-er took the laptop and began to operate it quickly. In the Yagyu family, the master of the family, Yagyu Shinji, was sitting in the main seat of the conference room, having a meeting with the core members of the family. Since the news that the Yagyu family had 2 heaven ninjas had spread, the attitudes of other families had immediately changed 180 degrees. They had extended olive branches to the Yagyu family. Those families who had shown hostility before had also come to apologize, which made the momentum of the Yagyu family unprecedentedly high. The dock promised by the Hanaki family had also been in place. Today, it had begun to generate profits, which made Yagyu Shinji more and more satisfied. While he was listening to the reports of other family members, suddenly the big screen full of all kinds of data flashed, and then a Wuxia person's face appeared in front of everyone. The people in the meeting were shocked and didn't know what was going on. Yagyu Shinji's expression changed greatly. As the master of the Yagyu family, he naturally knew the Wuxia face in front of him. It was Qin Haodong, the enemy who had killed his son. On the big screen, Qin Haodong smiled at everyone and said, "Master of the Yagyu family, I'm sorry to bother you." Yagyu Shinji said with a sullen face, "Qin Haodong, what do you want to do?" "Master of the Yagyu family, I want to talk about a business with you." Yagyu Shinji thought that Yagyu Yukaim had played a role in Wuxia and forced Qin Haodong to sell the formula to the Yagyu family, so he waved his hand and asked everyone else to leave, leaving only an assistant. "Tell me, how much are you going to sell the formula of the blood revival elixir to us?" 3 billion yuan. A playful smile appeared on Qin Haodong's face as he said, "But what I want to sell is not the formula of the blood revival elixir, but something else." Yagyu Shinji's expression changed as he said in a cold voice, "We only want the formula of the blood revival elixir. We don't want to talk about anything else. Besides, is there anything else in the world that is worth 3 billion yuan? Of course there is. In fact, I think 3 billion yuan for this treasure is a little cheap." After Qin Haodong said that, the picture on the screen changed. Yagyu Yukaim, who was tied up, appeared on the camera. Yagyu Shinji was shocked. He hadn't expected that Yagyu Yukaim, who had made the Yagyu family famous, would be tied up. After a pause, Qin Haodong's head appeared on the big screen again. He smiled at Yagyu Shinji and said, "Master of the Yagyu family, are you interested in this treasure?" Yagyu Shinji said angrily, "Qin Haodong, Yukaim is the leader of the Neon delegation. How dare you kidnap her? I'm warning you, let her go quickly. Master of the Yagyu family, so you don't have any sincerity in doing business. Miss Yukaim is your daughter. Are you reluctant to pay 3 billion yuan? If you don't buy it, I'll sell it to someone else." Yagyu Shinji quickly said, "Wait a minute, 3 billion yuan is not a small amount. You have to give me some time." Qin Haodong thought for a moment and said, "Well, I'll give you 3 hours. You must give me an answer after 3 hours." After that, the picture on the big screen flashed and Qin Haodong's head disappeared. "Bastard, how did he manage to capture Shui Jie?" Yagyu Shinji threw the teacup in his hand to the ground. The assistant next to him asked carefully, "Master, what should we do now? Do we really have to pay 3 billion yuan? We must save Yukaim. She is the hope of our family. Without her, our Yagyu family will be completely finished." Yagyu Shinji's face darkened and he said, "But it's not so easy to take money from our Yagyu family. This time, Yukaim is representing the government. Inform Miyashiro Yoshida immediately and ask him to contact the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Neon. Tell them that Qin Haodong kidnapped our leader and ask the government to rescue her as soon as possible." The assistant quickly agreed and said, "Okay, I'll do it now." Miyashiro Yoshida was drinking tea in his room. When he heard the news that Yagyu Yukaim had been kidnapped by Qin Haodong, he was extremely shocked. He couldn't understand how the two people, who had been fighting on the same bed last night, had become kidnappers and kidnappers today. However, when he saw the photo of Yagi Yukime being tied up, he didn't hesitate at all. He quickly took the photo to Fujita Takashi, an accompanying official from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Neon. Together, they found Gao Fong, the director of the investment promotion agency. Gao Fong was also very shocked when he heard the news, but this kind of thing was absolutely not a joke. He immediately took Fujita Takashi and Miyashiro Yoshida to the Municipal Public Security Bureau and reported the case to Deputy Director Wang Jianfeng. Wang Jianfeng was shocked. He knew Qin Haodong very well and felt that he couldn't do such a thing. He said, the leader of the delegation was kidnapped by Qin Haodong. Could there be some kind of misunderstanding here? Fujita Takashi held the photo and said, Director Wang, our president was indeed kidnapped in your country. There can't be any misunderstanding. Since he had received the report, he had to deal with it. Especially this kind of foreign case, Wang Jianfeng had to deal with it more carefully. He said, don't worry, our public security agency will definitely investigate this matter. In the end, he mobilized a large number of police forces and asked the technical department to locate Qin Haodong. Then, he rushed directly to Daddy Security Company. Nalan Wuxia rushed over with the police force of the crime squad. She knew the situation between Qin Haodong and Yagi Yukime very well. Once they needed help, she would resolutely stand on Qin Haodong's side. At Daddy Security Company, Qin Haodong stood in front of the window and looked at the police cars driving into the yard. He couldn't help but smile. He turned back and said to Yagi Yukime, it seems that the Yagyu family still hasn't given up. They even called the police. Yagi Yukime cried, I'm the leader of the Neon delegation. Let me go quickly, or the consequences will be very serious. Qin Haodong said with a smile, you think too much. The result will surprise you. Fujita Takashi asked the Neon delegation to follow them closely, as if he was afraid that these policemen would be biased. Wang Jianfeng frowned, but did not say anything. Wang Jianfeng brought a lot of policemen. After about half an hour, they searched the entire Daddy Security Company, including the people brought by Fujita Takashi. While supervising these policemen, they also looked around. They also did not find Yagi Yukime. The policeman in charge of the search came back and reported, Director, we have finished the search and found nothing suspicious. Wang Jianfeng turned to look at Fujita Takashi and Miyashiro Yoshida. You two, this seems to be a misunderstanding. It has nothing to do with Dr. Qin. Fujita Takashi thought that Yagi Yukime would be found in the Daddy Security Company. He did not expect this result, but he still shouted unwillingly, Director Wang, this must have been done by Qin Haodong. You will know if you arrest him and ask him. Wang Jianfeng had lost his patience with this Neon man. He frowned and said, Mr. Fujita, do you want us to use the tiger stool and pepper water? Let me tell you, the police have procedures for handling cases. We will not arrest people casually, nor will we extort confessions by torture. I think it's better to investigate Miss Yagyu's disappearance from another direction. Maybe she went out to play with someone else. Fujita Takashi held the photo in his hand and said angrily, Director Wang, look. Miss Yagyu has obviously been tied up. How could she have gone out to play? Qin Haodong said with a smile, I heard that there is a very special game in your country. People like to tie people up with ropes when they have nothing to do. Is that what Miss Yukime likes? B****, you dare to insult our Miss Yagyu. Fujita Takashi shouted at Wang Jianfeng, arrest him, Director Wang. We must arrest him. Mr. Fujita, we have done what we should do. Now there is no evidence that Dr. Qin kidnapped Miss Yagyu, so we can't arrest him. After that, he waved his hand and said, retreat. Nalan Wuxia nodded slightly to Qin Haodong and Nalan Wuxuang, then quickly retreated with her people. Fujita Takashi shouted angrily, is this how the Chinese police do things? I will protest, I will definitely protest. Wang Jianfeng said, we have a video of the whole process of today's case. Mr. Fujita can do whatever you want. After that, he also turned around and walked out. Soon, all the policemen left the daddy security company. In the room, only Fujita Takashi, Miyashiro Yoshida, and a few other neon people were left. Qin Haodong looked at them, smiled, and said, you guys, I'm sorry. We don't like neon people here, so please get out. You bastard, how dare you speak to me like this? Do you know who I am? Before Fujita Takashi could finish speaking, Qin Haodong said to Chen Fugue and the others, throw them out. Chen Fugue himself had long disliked these neon people. Chapter 400. After hanging up the phone, Yagyu Shinji's assistant said cautiously, Master, we have recorded the phone call just now. Do you want to inform the Wuxia authorities to arrest that guy? Yagyu Shinji shook his head and said, it's enough to do this kind of thing once. If we really annoy Qin Haodong, we can't afford the consequences. The Yagyu family had risen strongly because Yagyu Yukaim had entered the ranks of heavenly ninjas. If Yagyu Yukaim was really killed by Qin Haodong, the Yagyu family would plummet and even be in danger of being destroyed. That was why he had dared to use the Wuxia authorities to catch Qin Haodong off guard last time, but he did not dare to do so this time. The assistant said, are we really going to give the Chinese medicine wholesale market to Qin Haodong for nothing? Yagyu Shinji said, that's a must. Even 10 billion yuan can't buy a heaven-stage ninja. Hurry up and do it. 10 minutes later, some people were surprised to find that the official website of the Yagyu family had issued a statement. The statement said that the Yagyu family admired Tangmen Traditional Chinese Medicine Company's contribution to leukemia patients, so they bought the Jiangnan Chinese Medicine wholesale market and gave it to Tangmen Traditional Chinese Medicine Company to show their respect. Soon, Qin Haodong received a call from Lin Momo at the Daddy Security Company. Haodong, a man named Miyashiro Yoshida came to our door and asked to sign a transfer contract for the Jiangnan Chinese Medicine wholesale market. He said that he would give it to our company for nothing. What's going on? Lin Momo was really shocked. Yesterday, she had been worried about the price of Chinese medicine. She did not expect that in just one day, the neon people would take the initiative to send the Chinese medicine wholesale market worth 3 billion yuan to their door. Qin Haodong said with a smile, since they have come to us, just accept it. Don't be shy. Lin Momo said with some doubts, really? Is this a trap of the neon people? Don't worry. This is a deal I made with the Yagyu family. It's a trap. Hearing Qin Haodong's words, Lin Momo was relieved. She immediately formed a formal transfer contract with Miyashiro Yoshida. From that moment on, the Chinese medicine wholesale market became one of the subordinate industries of Tangmen Traditional Chinese Medicine Company. Yagyu Yukaim was still firmly tied up. She had been sitting next to Qin Haodong. After hearing the news, she was even more angry. Bastard, you're a robber. Originally, she had invested 3 billion yuan to buy the Chinese medicine wholesale market to restrict Tangmen Traditional Chinese Medicine Company. She didn't expect that it would become someone else's business so quickly. Now she completely understood what it meant to go for wool and come home shorn. Am I a bandit? Since you said so, then I'll have to snatch more. As soon as Qin Haodong finished speaking, his phone rang. It was Yagyu Shinji. Qin Haodong, I've done as you said. Let Shueji go. Family Master Yagyu, don't worry. I've always been a man of my word. Since I've taken your Chinese medicine wholesale market, I'll naturally return Miss Yukaim to you. Qin Haodong said jokingly, but a friendly reminder, Miss Shueji has already taken my cultivation dissipation powder. If there is no antidote, she will be an ordinary person in the future. Bastard! Yagyu Shinji was furious. He didn't expect that he would spend 3 billion yuan to buy Yagyu Yukaim, whose cultivation had been destroyed. At the same time, he understood why Yagi Yukheim would obediently be held in Qin Haodong's hands. He took a deep breath, calmed his anger, and cried, "Qin Haodong, you're not keeping your word. Family Master Yagyu, you're wrong. We made it clear at that time that you gave me the Chinese medicine wholesale market, and I would send Miss Yukheim back to you. How can you say that I'm not keeping my word?" Yagyu Shinji said, "Tell me, how can you restore Yukheim's cultivation?" Qin Haodong said with a smile, "It's very simple. I have an antidote here. She will recover immediately after taking it. However, the materials of my medicine are rare, so the price is naturally a little higher. It costs 1 billion yuan. I don't know if you'll buy it or not." Yagyu Shinji gritted his teeth and said, "I'll buy it." Qin Haodong had already guessed this result. He said with a smile, "Since you want to buy it, then hurry up and pay." Soon, his mobile phone beeped. 1 billion yuan from the Yagyu family had been transferred to his account. Qin Haodong looked at Yagi Yukheim and said with a smile, "It seems that you're really worth a lot of money. You're welcome to come to Wuxia in the future." Yagi Yukheim gritted her teeth and said, "Shameless Wuxia man. When I come again, I will definitely kill you. You have to have the ability to do that." Qin Haodong said jokingly, "But let me say this first. Next time, the price will not be this. It will be doubled. Your Yagyu family will prepare 800,000 yuan before coming to Wuxia." An hour later, Qin Haodong appeared at Jiangnan Airport with Yagi Yukheim. He gave the ticket to Yagi Yukheim, then took out 3 small red pills and gave them to her. "Take 1 pill a day. 3 days later, you will have a big surprise. Remember, don't run around before your cultivation is restored. Otherwise, it will be very dangerous." Yagi Yukheim looked at Qin Haodong with a complicated expression, then turned around and entered the boarding gate. Watching the plane slowly rise, Qin Haodong finally breathed a sigh of relief. He had finally sent this neon woman out of Wuxia. Otherwise, how could he face a supreme power master who could recover at any time? It was really stressful. He turned around and walked out of the airport. Just as he walked a short distance, he heard a charming voice behind him saying, "Handsome, do you want a date?" Qin Haodong looked back and saw a tall woman standing behind him. She was looking at him with interest and a foxy smile on her face. It was Hu Shaoxian. "It's so late. Why are you here?" Hu Shaoxian stepped forward and kissed him on the cheek. Then, she held his arm and said with a smile, "Of course, it's best to do this kind of thing at night." The people around stopped to watch. Seeing Hu Xiaoxian's beautiful face and curvy figure, many male creatures kept swallowing and secretly complained why they didn't have such good luck. Qin Haodong wiped the cheek that had been kissed and said, "Let's go. Let's get in the car first." After they got in the car, Qin Haodong asked again, "What are you doing in Jiangnan?" Hu Shaoxian said with a smile, "Of course to sleep with you. I've said several times that you'll sleep with me. Today, I'm finally going to fulfill my promise." Qin Haodong said, "Be serious." "I'm being serious." "Why? Are you not interested in me after you slept with Yagi Yukheim? Has your taste changed? Do you want me to put something in the water?" Qin Haodong was speechless and said, "What are you doing every day? How do you even know this?" Hu Shaoxian said with a smile, "I don't know about other people's affairs, but I definitely know about yours. I heard that you fought with Yagi Yukheim for a day and a night, and finally left with your hands on the wall." Qin Haodong really didn't want to mention this embarrassing thing again. He said, "Where are you going?" "Of course to your house. I've said that I'll sleep with you." Hu Shaoxian hugged his arm again and put her plump chest against his. She said with a smile, "You haven't been completely squeezed out and haven't recovered yet, have you?" Qin Haodong glanced at the white scenery under her collar and couldn't help but think of the fierce battle with Yagi Yukheim. He couldn't help but feel a burst of heat in his heart. There was a reaction in a certain part of his body. Hu Shaoxian keenly felt it. She glanced there and said with a smile, "It seems that your body is good. It can still be used." Meeting this little fox, Qin Haodong really didn't know what to say, so he kept his mouth shut and drove directly back to his villa. After going upstairs, Hu Shaoxian took a bath and changed into a pair of black lace pajamas. Then, she went straight to Qin Haodong's room. She had just taken a bath. Her white skin had a hint of delicate pink, which looked extremely attractive. The so-called beauty coming out of the bath should be talking about this effect. In addition, her nightdress was very short, revealing her smooth collarbone. The bottom part only covered the key parts. Her two slender and straight thighs were particularly dazzling under the light. Looking at the extremely attractive woman in front of him, Qin Haodong licked his dry lips and said, "You've been tired for a day. Go to sleep quickly. We've agreed to sleep together. Why do you want to drive me away?" Hu Shaoxian said in a resentful tone, "Why? Do you think my body is not as good as that Japanese woman's?" As she spoke, she made a stretching movement in front of Qin Haodong, showing her sexy figure and wonderful arc incisively and vividly. Qin Haodong swallowed his saliva again. In the face of this undisguised extreme temptation, the second master immediately had a reaction. Hu Shaoxian glanced there and said with a smile, "Well, let's talk about business first. We'll have an in-depth exchange later." She sat next to Qin Haodong, held his arm and said, "I have good news for you. Do you want to hear it?" Qin Haodong struggled to move his eyes away from Hu Shaoxian's chest and said, "Of course I want to hear good news." Hu Shaoxian took out a small red book from her bag and gave it to him. She said, "Look, what's this?" Qin Haodong took the small book and glanced at it. He saw 5 strong and powerful golden characters written on the front. Xianyuan Pavilion of Huaxiao. After opening it, there was a line of small characters inside. Xianyuan Pavilion Guest Elder Qin Haodong. It was also stamped with the big seal of the Xianyuan Pavilion. He was slightly stunned and asked in surprise, "I didn't agree to join the Xianyuan Pavilion. When did I become your guest elder?" "Just yesterday." Hu Shaoxian said with a smile, "Look carefully. This is the guest elder of the Xianyuan Pavilion, not the elder of our Xian department." Qin Haodong said, "But even if it's the Xianyuan Pavilion, I didn't say I would join." Hu Shaoxian rolled her eyes at him and said, "You are a typical example of taking advantage of others. Do you know how precious this small book is? Many people want it but can't get it. It took me and Grandpa a lot of persuasion to help you get it from the head of the Xianyuan Pavilion. There are only 5 elders in the Xianyuan Pavilion. My grandpa, as the head of the Xian department, became one of them. Even my grandma is only one of the elders of the Xian department. Although you are only a guest elder, your status is respected enough. But I'm just a little doctor. I don't want to join the Xianyuan Pavilion. Listen to me first, and then you can consider whether to refuse or not." Hu Shaoxian said, "First of all, the guest elder enjoys the treatment of the Xianyuan Pavilion, and is not restricted by the Xianyuan Pavilion. That is to say, you can do the task given by the Xianyuan Pavilion if you want to. At the same time, as an elder of the Xianyuan Pavilion, you are no longer subject to the ordinary laws of Huaxiao. No matter what you do, it will be handled by the Xianyuan Pavilion, and the local department has no right to interfere." Qin Haodong's eyes widened and he asked, "Is this the legendary license to kill?" Hu Shaoxian said, "Almost, but privilege does not mean lawlessness. If you kill innocent people, the Xianyuan Pavilion will not let you go." Chapter 401. This is really a good thing. The look in Qin Haodong's eyes changed when he looked at the little book. Of course, he would not kill innocent people, but he did not want to do things with his hands and feet. With the identity of the guest elder, he could save a lot of trouble. The most important thing was that this identity would not restrict his freedom. He could help the Xianyuan pavilion when it was convenient, and he could still do whatever he wanted to do on weekdays. Of course it's a good thing. Hu Shaoxian said, you can be given such a high treatment because you destroyed the special organization in M country, especially the experimental materials you brought back. They have high scientific research value and play a very good supporting role in the development of genetic technology in Huaxia. That's why you are specially approved to be a guest elder. When it came to the organization that Davis was in, Qin Haodong asked, by the way, has the Xianyuan pavilion found out what kind of organization it is? Hu Shaoxian shook her head and said, so far, there is no information about that organization, but the Xianyuan pavilion has registered it. I believe we will find relevant clues in the future. Qin Haodong put away the small book of the guest elder and said, I'll take this. Thank you, and the old man. The value of this guest elder is very high. How are you going to thank me? Hu Shaoxian said as she turned over and sat in Qin Haodong's arms. She put her hands around his neck and two slender long legs on his waist. Because of the posture, her snow-white chest was directly exposed in front of him, which was so dazzling that he could not open his eyes. The most important thing was that as a person with extremely developed six senses, Qin Haodong keenly felt that there seemed to be only his big underpants between the second leader and Hu Shaoxian, and there was nothing on Hu Shaoxian's side, which meant that there was nothing under her nightgown. This discovery was more stimulating than the two towering peaks on her chest. He suddenly felt a burst of heat in his nostrils, as if he was going to have a nosebleed again. He quickly reached out to cover his nose and then closed his eyes. Hu Shaoxian was like a fairy. She giggled and put her forehead against Qin Haodong's. She said, why are you covering your nose? Is my smell not as good as that neon woman? Smells good, you smell the best. Hurry up and get off, okay? Qin Haodong said hurriedly, hoping that the fox would get off him as soon as possible. If it smells so good, why are you covering your nose? If it smells so good, why do you want me to go down? Are you lying? Hu Shaoxian seemed to like to see him embarrassed. When she spoke, she twisted her buttocks, which made Qin Haodong even more on the verge of breaking down. He hurriedly said, hurry up. Let's talk about it. I'll promise you whatever you want. This is what you said. Don't go back on your word. Hu Shaoxian burst into laughter for a while. I said it, it's what I said. As long as you go down there, you can do whatever you want. Qin Haodong felt that his nostrils were getting hotter and hotter. He was afraid that he would have a nosebleed if he dragged on. At that time, he would not be able to raise his head in front of Hu Shaoxian for the rest of his life. Hu Shaoxian giggled and kissed him gently on the forehead. Then she turned over and sat on the bed again. Qin Haodong breathed a sigh of relief. This little vixen was too torturous. Hu Shaoxian took his hand and said, I want you to do me a favor this time. Come with me to Burma. Qin Haodong said, what are we going to do there? Hu Shaoxian stopped smiling and said seriously, recently, drug crimes have been rampant in Huaxia. Although the Public Security Department has done its best to find many drug crimes, it still can't effectively control this trend. There is always a continuous flow of drugs from the Golden Triangle of Burma to Huaxia. Qin Haodong asked, wasn't it like this before? Hu Shaoxian shook her head and said, there were also drug crimes in Huaxia before, but they were not so rampant. Especially in Burma, they were basically sold to the Western world and rarely transported to Huaxia. Recently, I don't know why, but the focus of drug sales suddenly shifted to Huaxia. It started 2 months ago. This matter is getting more and more serious. It is difficult to deal with it by the limited power of the public security, so the police department applied for the intervention of the Xianyuan Pavilion. In order to find out the situation, I was specially asked to go to Burma. That's why I haven't been to Jiangnan recently. Have you found out the reason? Of course, I've done it myself. There's nothing I can't find out. Hu Shaoxian said, the root of all these problems is Zhou Tianhu, the leader of the Jade Gang. Zhou Tianhu. Qin Haodong was very familiar with the name. He had dealt with the men of the Jade Gang several times before. They were also one of his enemies. He asked, isn't Zhou Tianhu in charge of the Jade Gang? Why does the drugs have anything to do with him? We have to start from the beginning. Hu Shaoxian said, the situation in Burma is completely different from that in Huaxia. The government there is weak, but the underground forces are very strong. There are 3 main gangs in Burma. The Jade Gang controls the raw jade gemstone business, the White Wolf Gang controls the drug business, and the Lutheran Society controls the gambling business. These 3 gangs originally made their own money, and there was not much contact between them. But just 2 months ago, Bai Peng, the leader of the White Wolf Gang, suddenly died. It was claimed that he had a sudden heart attack, and the deputy leader, Cobra, took over the position of the leader. The change began from there. Qin Haodong said, does Cobra have something to do with Zhou Tianhu? Hu Shaoxian said, you're right. Cobra was originally a trusted subordinate of Zhou Tianhu. He was sent to the White Wolf Gang as an undercover agent many years ago. I believe that Bai Peng's death has something to do with Zhou Tianhu and Cobra. Qin Haodong asked, even if Zhou Tianhu killed Bai Peng, what does it have to do with the dumping of drugs in Huaxia? Hu Shaoxian said, although the situation in Burma is complicated, most of the forces are controlled by Huaxia people. Although these people were born in Burma, they are all descendants of Huaxia people. For example, Bai Peng's grandfather used to be a general of the Burma Expeditionary Force. Later, he stayed in Burma for special historical reasons. Although Bai Peng was in the drug business, he never sold drugs to Huaxia because of his grandfather's influence. Zhou Tianhu was completely different. He was a madman. All he saw was money. He would do anything as long as he got money. There are more than 1 billion people in Huaxia. In their view, as long as they sold drugs to Huaxia, there would be endless money. Therefore, after Zhou Tianhu and Cobra took control of the White Wolf Gang, the direction of drug sales in Burma immediately changed. They began to dump drugs to Huaxia. Qin Haodong nodded. That explained why there were drugs in the raw stones of the Jade Gang in Burma. It turned out that Zhou Tianhu was behind all this. He said, since the matter has been investigated, it couldn't be simpler. The Xianyuan Pavilion can send a master to kill Zhou Tianhu. Hu Shaoxian shook her head and said, it's not that simple. First of all, Zhou Tianhu's defense is very tight. He has raised many masters in Jianhu over the years, and there are countless hidden gunmen. It's very difficult to kill him. That's the second reason. There's another very important reason. In Burma, whoever has a gun is the boss. There is also General Li Site who is above the 3 gangs. Li Site has nearly 10,000 troops under his command. He is the real king of the Golden Triangle. Although he doesn't participate in the specific business of the 3 gangs, half of the profits of the 3 gangs have to be handed over to his pocket. The reason why Zhou Tianhu can replace Bai Peng must have been with Li Site's consent before. Our goal is not to kill Zhou Tianhu. The ultimate goal is to find someone who can replace Zhou Tianhu to control the drug trade. To do this, we must get the approval of General Li Site. Qin Haodong said, is that why you asked me to accompany you to Burma? Even your Xianyuan Pavilion can't deal with Li Site. What's the use of me going there? Is he a woman? Are you going to let me sacrifice my body? Sacrifice your body? You wish. Hu Shaoxian reached out and pinched Qin Haodong's nose. She said, Li Site is very difficult to talk to. It's not easy to get his approval. But everyone has a weakness. Li Site is the same. He is 60 years old this year. At the age of 40, he had a son, Li Pingan. He treasured his son very much. He was afraid of any accidents, so he named him Li Pingan. Unexpectedly, something happened in the end. A few years ago, Li Pingan suddenly got a strange disease. Nothing could be seen in ordinary days. Once it broke out, he was extremely grumpy, almost like a mental illness. And recently, it has become more and more serious. Li Site was very anxious about his son's illness. He invited many famous doctors to treat Li Pingan, but it still didn't work. Qin Haodong said, "Do you mean that I should treat Li Pingan and get Li Site's approval? You're smart. I'll reward you." Hu Shaoxian said and kissed Qin Haodong's face again. "You're not a reward. You're taking advantage of me. You can also take advantage of me. I'm not stopping you." Hu Shaoxian said and straightened her chest. Her lace pajamas swayed seductively under the drive of her two peaks. Qin Haodong swallowed and said, "Forget it. It's better for you to take advantage of me. Coward." Hu Shaoxian rolled her eyes at him and said, "Although Li Site is very difficult to talk to, he has a characteristic, that is, he keeps his word. As long as he promised something, he won't go back on it. If you can really cure Li Pingan, then you can take Zhou Tianhu's matter as the consultation fee. I believe Li Site will agree." Qin Haodong said, "I can cure him, but how long will it take to go to Burma?" Hu Shaoxian said, "Li Site is very suspicious. If you take the initiative to treat his son, I'm afraid he will suspect that you're here to assassinate him. You'll be shot before you see Li Pingan. So, we have to open a clinic in Burma first. When you become famous, let him invite you to his clinic. And after getting List's approval, we have to find a chance to kill Zhou Tianhu, so it will take longer." Qin Haodong said, "It can't be too long. You know I have a lot of things to do in Jiangnan. I can't leave for too long. You'd better find someone else. I can't trust anyone else." Hu Shaoxian said, "This is your first task after becoming a guest elder. You have to do it well, right? I just said that the tasks of the Xianyuan Pavilion must be approved by me. You can't force me, or I'd rather not be an elder. Of course, the Xianyuan Pavilion won't force you, but you just promised me. You said that you would meet all my conditions. Have you forgotten so quickly?" Hu Shaoxian said and rode on Qin Haodong again. She hugged his neck and said, "Why don't we review again? As long as you can promise me, you can do anything." Chapter 402. Seeing that the two trembling peaks were about to hit his face, Qin Haodong felt a burst of heat in his nostrils. He hurriedly cried, "Okay. Okay. I agree. I'll go with you, okay?" Hu Shaoxian reached out and patted his cheek. She said jokingly, "It's boring. Why did you give in so quickly? I haven't started the torture yet." Qin Haodong glanced at the two hemispheres close at hand, swallowed his saliva, and said, "I'm a soft person. Don't torture me." "Soft? Little man, are you lying again? Why don't I feel so?" Hu Shaoxian said as she sat on Qin Haodong's body. It seemed that she was using practical actions to verify Qin Haodong's words. This strong sense of friction and squeezing made Qin Haodong tremble all over. He quickly reached out to hold Hu Shaoxian's waist and pulled her down from his body. Hu Shaoxian giggled and said, "Since you've agreed, when will you go with me?" Qin Haodong gasped and said, "I'll discuss it with Momo tomorrow, and then I'll give you an answer." Hu Shaoxian stretched and said, "Well, it seems that the Empress's opinion is the most important here." After that, she threw Qin Haodong on the bed again. "Since the business is over, let's go to sleep." Are you really going to sleep here?" "Of course, we agreed to sleep together." Hu Shaoxian nestled comfortably in Qin Haodong's arms. She stroked his chest and said, "What's wrong? Why are you so nervous? It's not like we haven't slept together before." After saying that, she pulled the quilt over and covered both of their bodies. Qin Haodong said, "But, this time is different from last time. if you hadn't mentioned it, I would have forgotten. It's a little different. After saying that, Hu Shaoxian quickly threw her lace nightdress out of the quilt. How is it? Is it more comfortable to hold it now? Hu Shaoxian climbed into his arms again and raised her beautiful face with a sly smile. Qin Haodong was speechless for a while. Was this little fox sent by God to torture him? At this moment, he really had the urge to execute Hu Shaoxian on the spot. All right, it's almost dawn. Let's go to sleep. Hu Shaoxian held Qin Haodong tightly and soon fell asleep. Qin Haodong didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This damned woman had flirted with him again and again. When he was about to be moved, she fell asleep. Could it be that sleep was so simple in her heart? He couldn't do anything while holding such a sexy woman. In the end, Qin Haodong fell asleep slowly with a belly full of helplessness. The next morning, he got out of bed early and went to the bathroom to take a cold shower. Only then did the second-in-command behave a little more. Hugging a naked beauty to sleep for a night was really a kind of torture for him. He looked back at Hu Shaoxian, who was still sleeping soundly on the bed. It had to be said that this vixen-like woman was indeed very beautiful. Her figure was curvy in all the right places, and thin in all the right places. She was a rare beauty. Especially in the current situation, with her eyes slightly closed, she was simply the legendary Sleeping Beauty. At this time, Hu Shaoxian turned over and threw off the quilt on her body. A large piece of beautiful scenery was exposed to the air, which made the flame that Qin Haodong had just extinguished somewhat rebound. He wanted to leave, but he couldn't help but want to look at it a few more times. Such a beautiful scenery, no matter what, could not be enough. Just when he was enjoying it, suddenly a charming voice said, "Little man, is it not enough to just look? Do you want to touch it?" At some point, Hu Shaoxian had opened her big black grape-like eyes and was looking at him with a playful face. No, you sleep for a while. I'll go to talk to Momo about going to Burma." Qin Haodong was like a thief who had been caught in the act, and he ran out as if he was escaping. Hu Shaoxian glanced at his back and said with a charming smile, "You are really bold. Obviously, you want to die, but you still want to pretend to be a gentleman." In the Lin's villa, the little fellow hadn't gotten up yet. Lin Momo was doing morning exercises in the yard alone. She stopped when she saw Qin Haodong. "Haodong, what did you do? Why did the neon people send the Chinese medicine wholesale market for free? Is it the result of you giving yourself to Yagi Yukaim?" She had just made a casual joke, but she didn't expect it to hit the nail on the head. Qin Haodong said with some embarrassment, "In fact, you can't blame me. I'm also a victim." Lin Momo immediately widened her eyes and asked in surprise, "What? Did you really exchange your body for it?" "Actually, it's not that," Qin Haodong told her what had happened that day from beginning to end. In the end, he extorted 1 billion yuan from the Yagyu family and sent Yagi Yukaim away. Finally, he said awkwardly, "No one expected that bastard Wang Daji to do something in the water dispenser. That's why things turned out like this." Lin Momo glanced at him with a faint smile and said, "I also saw Yagi Yukaim. She is a great beauty. Are you happy now? Do you want to send a certificate to Wang Daji?" "What are you talking about? No matter how beautiful she is, can she be more beautiful than you?" Qin Haodong's words were awe-inspiring and righteous. "Don't be talkative. You don't mean what you say." Although Lin Momo said that, it was obvious that she was very happy with Qin Haodong's flattery. Then she said, "By the way, there's something I want to discuss with you." "What's wrong? Did something happen to Tangmen Company again?" Qin Haodong was a little nervous. He had promised Hu Shaoxian to go to Burma. If Lin Momo arranged other things for him, it would be a little difficult. "It's not about our company. There's something going on with Lin's group." Qin Haodong asked, "What happened to Lin's group?" "It's actually a good thing," Lin Momo said. Sister and came to me yesterday. Since the fall of Feng's group, Lin's group has almost occupied the entire jewelry market in Jiangnan City, and its sales are booming. But now the problem is that the consumption of raw jade materials is extremely fast. Previously, the sales department predicted that the raw jade materials stored by Lin's group could support for half a year, but at that time, the Feng family was still there. Now the market share has increased, but the Jade Gang still doesn't supply us. As a result, the time that the raw jade materials can support has been reduced by half. It is expected that there will be a shortage of raw materials in more than a month. You once promised my grandfather that you would solve the raw jade stone supply problem of Lin's group within half a year. Now it seems that we have to go ahead of schedule. After listening to Lin Momo's words, Qin Haodong thought to himself that the trip to Burma was inevitable. He said, "I'll go to Burma now. Soon, the problem of raw jade supply will be solved." Lin Momo said with some worry, "I heard that there are guns everywhere in Burma. Zhou Tianhu of the Jade Gang is a lawless gang leader. Isn't it too dangerous for you to go alone? Why don't you take more people with you?" Qin Haodong said, "It's useless to have too many people. Besides, I'm not alone." He told Lin Momo what he and Xiao Xian had told him last night, and then said, "The Xianyuan Pavilion wants to get rid of Zhou Tianhu, which is the same as our goal. Naturally, the problem of raw jade materials will be solved." Lin Momo was relieved to hear that a special department of the state would go to Burma with Qin Haodong. She said, "Anyway, you have to be careful." Qin Haodong said, "Don't worry. They are just a few small drug dealers. I don't care." Lin Momo nodded. She was the only person in the world who knew Emperor Greenwood. She knew Qin Haodong's strength. In a few days, there will be a public bid for raw jade stones in Burma. If there is time, our Lin's group will buy some. Qin Haodong said, "Don't worry. I'll get rid of Zhou Tianhu as soon as possible." One morning, a young man and a young woman appeared in a small town in the Golden Triangle of Burma. The woman was charming, tall and sexy, while the man looked much more ordinary. Not only was he ordinary in clothes, but he was also ordinary in appearance. However, the woman was holding the man's arm intimately, which made people feel like a flower inserted in cow dung. The two people were Hu Shaoxian and Qin Haodong in disguise. Because of the hatred with the Jade Gang, Qin Haodong couldn't show up with his original face. Otherwise, it would cause a lot of unnecessary trouble. It was necessary to change his appearance. Originally, he wanted to change his appearance to that of an old Chinese medicine doctor, so that it would be more stylish to open a clinic. However, this idea was strongly opposed by Hu Shaoxian. In her words, it was okay if he was a little ugly, but he had to make himself old and ugly. What would others think of her taste? Qin Haodong had no choice but to change his appearance, but he was still a young man in his early 20s. "Where is the place you mentioned?" Qin Haodong asked. "It's just ahead. We'll be there soon." Although the Golden Triangle was very famous, it was actually very backward. There were few decent buildings in the town. Most of them were ordinary tile-roofed houses. Soon, they came to a separate small courtyard. Hu Shaoxian pointed to the plaque hanging on the door and said, "Here we are. This is the clinic I prepared for you." It seemed that Hu Shaoxian was sure that Qin Haodong would come to Burma with her. The last time Hu Shaoxian came to inquire about the news, she rented the courtyard and asked someone to transform it into a clinic. Qin Haodong looked up. The door of the small courtyard was decorated in antique style, with the words, "Tang's Clinic," written on it. "Everything is ready. Even the medicinal materials have been bought at home. Now you can open the door directly. How about it? Are you satisfied with my performance?" Hu Shaoxian said with a smile. "Not bad." Qin Haodong pushed the door and walked in. There was a 3-room tile-roofed house in the courtyard. The area of the room was about 100 square meters. The 50 square meters in front were transformed into the facade of the clinic by Hu Shaoxian. The back was the bedroom where they lived. At the same time, there was a kitchen and a bedroom. When he saw the only big bed in the bedroom, Qin Haodong frowned slightly. It seemed that his hard days were not over yet. He would be tortured by this little fox in the future. Hu Shaoxian said, "How about it, Dr. Tang? If you are satisfied, let's open the door now." After Qin Haodong changed his appearance, he used the name Tang Feng again. "Well, let's open now." Qin Haodong also wanted to buy time to deal with things here as soon as possible. So Hu Shaoxian found a string of firecrackers that had been prepared and lit them at the door. The Tang's clinic was officially opened. But the situation was not very ideal. It was almost noon, but there were no patients. Qin Haodong said to Hu Shaoxian, "I said I would disguise myself as an old Chinese medicine doctor, at least I would look good. But you made me look like this. Now there are no patients." Chapter 403. I'm not a duck. Why do I need to look good? Hu Shaoxian sat on his lap, put her arms around his neck and said, "You didn't pretend to be an old man in the south of the Yangtze River. You still became a medical sage. Being a doctor depends on medical skills. Everything else is meaningless." Hu Shaoxian's plump body was sitting in his arms. Qin Haodong had nowhere to put his hands. He said, "Get down quickly. It's not good to be seen by others." Hu Shaoxian said with a smile, "There are only the two of us here. Besides, I'm your wife now. What's wrong with being a little intimate?" Then she kissed Qin Haodong on the cheek again and giggled, "It's good now. I'm your legitimate wife. You only belong to me." When they came to Burma this time, Hu Shaoxian set the identity of the two of them as husband and wife, saying that it was convenient to perform tasks. However, Qin Haodong always felt that she was using her power for personal gain. It was not convenient to perform tasks, but she really wanted to take advantage of him. Just then, someone outside the door called, "Is anyone there?" As soon as the voice fell, an old woman in her 60s came in with a black puppy in her arms. The old woman spoke in Burmese language, but Qin Haodong and Hu Shaoxian had already done a language assault before, so there was no problem in communicating. Qin Haodong quickly pushed Hu Shaoxian off him, stood up and said, "Auntie, do you want to see a doctor?" The old woman pointed to the black puppy in her arms and said, "Not me, but my little black." Qin Haodong was speechless. He was the medical sage and opened a clinic in Burma. The first patient who came to see him was a dog. "Auntie, you're wrong. I'm a traditional Chinese medicine practitioner, not a veterinarian. I treat people, not dogs." The old woman was suddenly unhappy and said, "If you can treat people, you can treat dogs. There is no veterinarian in this town. Little Black is sick. Who do you want me to find?" Looking at the old woman's persistence, Hu Shaoxian covered her mouth and laughed. Qin Haodong said helplessly, "Well, I'll show it." He held the black puppy in his arms and looked at it. After confirming that it was just gastroenteritis, he took out a few silver needles and used green with genuine qi to help it sort out its stomach and intestines. Soon, the black puppy became energetic. The old lady took back the black puppy and said with satisfaction, "Little doctor, your medical skills are good. I will help you publicize it." After that, the old lady didn't mention anything about paying and left with the dog in her arms. Hu Shaoxian laughed so hard that she rocked back and forth. After laughing enough, she said, "Great medical sage, don't get angry. Anyway, it's a business, although I didn't make any money." Qin Haodong raised his hand and slapped her butt. He said in annoyance, "You're such a bad wife. Hurry up and cook for me." Hu Shaoxian glanced at him with her charming eyes and said, "Wait, I'll go buy some vegetables and give you a treat tonight." After that, she turned and left. After a while, Qin Haodong heard a noise outside the door. He opened the door and was immediately petrified. He saw that the door of the clinic was full of people. Some were holding cats, some were holding dogs, and 2 were holding bird cages. The leader was the old lady who had just held the black puppy. After seeing Qin Haodong, she immediately went forward and said, "Dr. Tang, you cured my little black so quickly. People nearby think that your medical skills are superb and you are a great doctor, so they all brought their pets here to see you and let you check their bodies." Qin Haodong resisted the feeling of collapse in his heart. He took a deep breath and calmed down. He said, "Auntie, I'm really not a veterinarian," the old lady said indifferently. "I know. I know. But your medical skills are better than a veterinarian's. If my little black has any problems in the future, I will come to you." The others also shouted, "Yes, Dr. Tang, there is no veterinarian in this town. Please help my little white. He doesn't like to eat these days and has some diarrhea. Dr. Tang, my Dowdu has been losing hair these days. Is there anything wrong with him? Dr. Tang, my gray wolf has been barking at night these days. Is there anything wrong with you?" Although Qin Haodong was helpless, he could only treat these pets one by one. Under the nourishment of his green wood genuine qi, these cats and dogs became very energetic. When Hu Shaoxian came back from shopping and saw Qin Haodong who had completely become a veterinarian, she almost laughed. She didn't expect that the clinic would become a veterinarian before it was opened. After 2 hours of work, when Qin Haodong had given the last puppy an injection, a middle-aged man finally came over. He stepped forward and asked, "Dr. Tang, I've been having pain in my shoulder recently, and sometimes I feel dizzy. Can you help me?" Seeing that someone finally came to see him, Qin Haodong couldn't help but feel the pulse of the middle-aged man. Soon, he said, "Uncle, this is a typical cervical spondylosis. This is the most initial symptom. If it is more serious, there will be vomiting, numbness of hands and feet, and more serious may cause paralysis." Hearing what he said, the middle-aged man immediately became nervous. "Dr. Tang, can you cure it?" "Of course I can. It's very simple. I'll give you a massage and help you restore the dislocated cervical vertebra." Then, Qin Haodong asked the middle-aged man to lie on the bed next to him. He massaged his shoulders and neck, and then gave him a few injections. 10 minutes later, the middle-aged man got up from the bed, moved his neck and said in surprise, "Dr. Tang, your medical skills are amazing. My neck not only doesn't hurt now, but I also feel much more energetic." Qin Haodong said, "It's just cervical spondylosis. It's no big deal. But you must pay attention when you go back. Don't lower your head for a long time. Move your cervical vertebra often." After the middle-aged man left, the reputation of the Tangmen Clinic slowly spread in the small town. After that, several more people came to see the doctor. At 5:00 in the afternoon, the clinic was closed. Qin Haodong had been hungry for a day, and his stomach was rumbling. When he walked into the kitchen, a smell of food came to his face. He saw Hu Shaoxian wearing a pink suspender nightdress, and her snow-white shoulders were completely exposed to the air. Although he could not see the 2 proud peaks, the beautiful back and smooth undulating curve were enough to firmly attract his eyes. He didn't know whether it was because he was hungry or because he saw Hu Shaoxian's reaction. He swallowed hard and said, "What delicious food is it? I'm starving." Hu Shaoxian turned her head and looked at him charmingly. "Do you want to eat or eat people?" Qin Haodong said, "Well, of course, I want to eat. Bring the dishes to the table. Let's eat now." Hu Shaoxian put the dishes in the pot on a plate and gave it to Qin Haodong. Then she poured a large bowl of stewed soup in the pot and brought it to the table. "What kind of soup is this? It smells so good." Qin Haodong was thirsty and hungry. He immediately turned it into a bowl of soup and quickly ate it up. Hu Shaoxian looked at him with a strange face and said, "How is it? Is it delicious? Qin Haodong didn't notice her expression. He filled another bowl and said, "It's delicious. It's really delicious. Drink more if you like it." Hu Shaoxian filled another bowl of soup and put it in front of him. Qin Haodong didn't stand on ceremony. He drank up the soup in the bowl quickly. After 3 bowls of soup, the feeling of hunger finally eased a little. He wiped his mouth, looked at the dishes on the table and asked, "Shaoxian, aren't you not good at cooking meat? Why did you make so many meat dishes? You've worked too hard today, so I'll make it up to you." Hu Xiaoxian's face showed a little foxy smile again. Qin Haodong picked up the chopsticks, picked up a piece of meat in front of him, put it in his mouth and said, "It tastes good. It's very chewy. What kind of meat is this?" Hu Shaoxian said with a smile, "Can't you tell? Try another piece." Qin Haodong thought the taste of the dish was good. He ate a few more mouthfuls and said, "I still can't tell. Tell me, what kind of dish is this?" Hu Shaoxian said with a smile, "This is stir-fried penis." Stir-fried penis. Qin Haodong suddenly felt awkward. He pointed to another dish and asked, "What about this?" "It's the same. It's also stir-fried penis, but it's a bullwhip." "What's this?" Qin Haodong pointed to the next dish and asked. "It's stir-fried penis, but it's a donkey whip, what about this?" "Sheep whip." Qin Haodong was going crazy. She opened the door of the bathroom with a whoosh. At this time, Qin Haodong was slumped on the ground. His whole body was stretched out. When he saw Hu Shaoxian, his whole expression instantly froze. Then his eyes moved to a certain part of his body. He fell so hard, but it was still upright, and there was no cover. It was so unscrupulously exposed to the air. Seeing that Qin Haodong was not injured, Hu Shaoxian was relieved. Then her eyes also moved there, and she also saw something she should not see. Even though she kept teasing Qin Haodong, after seeing this scene, she also blushed and quickly looked away. "Why did you just fall down like that? If you want me to accompany you, just say it. Why are you in such a hurry?" Hu Shaoxian said, and went forward to help Qin Haodong up. "I'm fine. Don't come over." Qin Haodong quickly stretched out one hand to stop her, and at the same time, reached down with the other hand, trying to block there. But then he found that in this state, one hand was not enough. "Are you sure you don't want me to help you?" Hu Shaoxian said with a faint smile. No, you go out first. I can get up by myself." As Qin Haodong said, he picked up the towel that had fallen next to him and covered the key part. Then he felt a little relieved. Hu Xiaoxian's eyes flashed a trace of charm. She stretched out her bright red tongue and gently swept it over her lips. This seemingly simple action was full of endless temptation at this moment, and even made the position of the towel suddenly rise. "Little man, it seems that the 10 penises soup works well. I'll cook it for you tomorrow." After that, she glanced at the position where the towel was, and then winked at Qin Haodong. Then she turned around and walked out of the bathroom. Looking at the abnormally protruding towel, Qin Haodong wanted to cry but had no tears. "I have raised you for more than 20 years. You are so disappointing." When he was about to get up from the ground, he saw the door of the bathroom open, and Hu Shaoxian came in from the outside again. "What are you going to do?" Qin Haodong asked nervously. "Are you mistaken? You are a man, and I am a woman. I should be the one who is nervous, okay?" After Hu Shaoxian said that, she took out a new set of pajamas and put them on the hanger next to her. Then she turned around and went out. Qin Haodong stood up and quickly locked the bathroom door. This woman was so torturous. He took a cold shower again and changed into the pajamas sent by Hu Shaoxian. Then he walked out of the bathroom. As soon as he went out, he saw Hu Shaoxian coming over with a set of clothes. After seeing Qin Haodong, her eyes inadvertently glanced at him, and then she said with her beautiful eyes, "It's my turn to wash. Do you want to wash again? Hurry up and wash your clothes." Qin Haodong said and left in a hurry. For some reason, when he looked at this seductress a few more times, he had a feeling of desire. The middle-aged man raised his hand and said, "Of course, it's not a big deal. If you take me as a joke, I'll shoot you." Qin Haodong's expression was still calm. He said, "I don't care how distinguished your identity is. But those who come to me are my patients. I never joke with patients, at least not with their illness." Seeing that Qin Haodong was so serious, the middle-aged man's eyes suddenly lit up with expectation. He said, "Well, show me now." Qin Haodong asked the middle-aged man to lie on the bed next to him, rolled up his trousers, and pinched his shrunken leg. He said, "Your operation was not very successful. Although the bullet was taken out, it hurt the surrounding tissue, which led to meridian atrophy. If you don't treat it as soon as possible, it will only get worse and worse. In a few years, you can only live in a wheelchair." As he spoke, he inserted the silver needles in his hand into the acupoints of the calf one by one, using the rejuvenative needle to help him repair the damaged muscle tissue and dredge the blocked meridians. The middle-aged man felt a warmth coming from his leg, and then he felt unprecedentedly comfortable. About 10 minutes later, Qin Haodong took back all the silver needles, patted his calf and said, "Get up, your leg is healed." So fast. Although he felt that Qin Haodong's needle technique was not ordinary, the middle-aged man still couldn't believe that his leg was cured so quickly. He turned over and sat up from the bed. First, he checked his calf. He was shocked to find that his right calf, which had been obviously atrophied before and thinner than his left calf, had completely recovered. There was no difference between it and his left leg. He didn't bother to put on his shoes and jumped out of the bed barefoot. He walked a few steps on the ground and found that his leg was indeed not lame. Then he jumped a few more times and felt a steady and powerful feeling in his calf. Well, in just 10 minutes, his leg was completely cured by Qin Haodong. "Dr. Tang, you are really a miracle doctor." The middle-aged man's face was full of excitement and joy. He had completely given up hope after being lame for 10 years, but today he had completely recovered. He reached out and took out 2 stacks of green US dollars from his pocket. He put them directly on Qin Haodong's table and said, "Dr. Tang, this is your consultation fee." The overall economy of Burma was still very backward. These 2 stacks of US dollars were enough for ordinary people to live comfortably for the rest of their lives. However, Qin Haodong didn't have much reaction. He took the money and handed it back to Hu Shaoxian next to him. The middle-aged man said again, "Dr. Tang, let me introduce myself. I'm Han Bao-chang, the housekeeper of General Li Site. I heard that there is a great miracle doctor in our Golden Triangle these days, so I came here today to invite you to treat the general's son." After that, he left the reception room with his people and went upstairs. After Han Bao-chang left, everyone fixed their eyes on Qin Haodong, for no other reason than that he was too young. A bald white doctor looked at Qin Haodong with disdain and said, "Are you also a doctor?" He was Gulit, a famous medical doctor in M country. He had done a lot of research on psychiatry and was a medical expert invited by Li Site. Qin Haodong's English was good. He said, "Of course." Gulit asked again, "Are you from Neon?" Qin Haodong shook his head and said, "I'm from Wuxia." Wuxia. Gulit immediately laughed. His smile was full of disdain. He shook his head and said, "Neon has learned a lot of our medical skills over the years. If you were a Neon person, I would believe that you would know some medical skills. But the Wuxia people are really inferior. At this time, another white doctor with pigtails said, "Gulit, you're right. Wuxia people haven't been exposed to Western medicine for a long time. They haven't learned the essence of Western medicine at all. Their medical skills are still very backward." He was Fernand, a medical expert from the United Kingdom. He had done a lot of research on human head diseases. Looking at the two arrogant white people, Qin Haodong said, "You think too much. I'm a Chinese medicine practitioner." "What? Chinese medicine practitioner?" Gulit and Fernand were stunned for a moment, then they laughed wildly. Gulit said, "That's so funny. Can Chinese medicine practitioners cure diseases? How dare they come here to cheat money?" Fernand said with a smile, "You're right. Chinese medicine practitioners are liars. It's their specialty to cheat money." Qin Haodong frowned. This kind of self-righteous guy was really annoying. At this time, an Asian doctor next to him said, "Chinese medicine practitioners are really not good. They only learned a little from our Koryo medicine and have squandered it all these years. So now Chinese medicine practitioners can't cure diseases at all." The one who spoke was a doctor from Koryo named Piao Zhenghuan. Qin Haodong was getting angrier and angrier. It was okay for these two ignorant white people to talk nonsense because they didn't know Chinese medicine practitioners. But the Koryo medicine practitioners in front of him were too shameless. They had learned their medical skills from Wuxia, but they were ungrateful and claimed that Chinese medicine practitioners came from Koryo medicine practitioners. "What did you say?" Qin Haodong looked at Piao Zhenghuan and said in a cold voice. "What? Didn't you hear me clearly? I said that Chinese medicine practitioners came from our Koryo medicine practitioners, but they only learned a little. Now they don't even have much left. It's really a disgrace to our Koryo medicine practitioners." Before Piao Zhenghuan finished speaking, he suddenly found a huge fist in front of him, and then he was punched to the ground. Han Baochang immediately understood what was going on, but he didn't care about those people. He had a good impression of Qin Haodong, who had cured his leg, so he didn't care about it anymore. He said, "Everyone, come with me. Let's see the young master now." After saying that, he led everyone out of the living room and to a room on the second floor. After entering the room, Qin Haodong saw that the setting in the room was very special. There was a huge fiberglass wall facing the door. The facilities in the room were even simpler. There was only one bed, and a young man in his 20s was sitting on the bed. He should be Li Site's son, Li Pingan. Li Pingan wasn't too tall, but he was quite strong. His facial features were very good, and he looked kind of handsome. Seeing those people coming in, his eyes were very calm, as if he had been used to this kind of scene. The room was about 50 square meters, and the fiberglass wall divided the room into two parts. Li Pingan's room was about 30 square meters, and there was another 20 square meters outside, where there were more than a dozen chairs. Han Baochang asked everyone to sit down and said, "As you can see, this is our young master Li Pingan. Let me briefly explain his condition. 3 years ago, our young master suddenly began to go crazy. Once he had an attack, he didn't recognize anyone, and he even beat himself. Recently, his condition has become more and more serious. It used to be once in 3 months, then once in 2 months, and now several times a day. That's all. Let's start the treatment. Who's first?" "I'll go first." Fernand was the first to stand up. He stared at Qin Haodong with hatred. "When I cure Li Pingan, I'll ask General Li Site to skin you alive." He said to Han Baochang, "Butler, where's the examination data of young Master Li?" "Here it is." Han Baochang waved his hand, and someone immediately sent a pile of examination results to Fernand. Li Pingan had done all the necessary examinations over the years, including brain CT, cerebral blood flow chart, and MRI. All the examinations that could be done were done. Fernand took the documents and opened them one by one. The more he read, the more serious he became. Finally, a knot appeared on his forehead. It wasn't that Li Pinggan's examination results were very serious, but there was no problem at all. According to the information in his hand, Li Pinggan was a very healthy person, and there was no problem at all. But Han Baochang had just said that Li Pinggan was indeed sick, and it was very serious. However, he couldn't even find the cause, let alone cure it. Li Pinggan had invited countless famous doctors over the years, and Han Baochang had already guessed the result when he saw Fernand's expression. He said, "Dr. Fernand, do you have any solution?" Fernand's face turned red. He said, "Butler, there's really nothing I can do, step aside if you can't." Chapter 407. How dare you? Han Baochang's face darkened and he said coldly, "You want to tie up the young master? Do you want to die?" Piao Zhenghuan was so scared that he almost wet his pants. He said in a trembling voice, "I'm a doctor. I can't feel the pulse for the young master at all. Why don't you let someone else do it first?" "That's you. Cut the crap." Han Baochang pushed Piao Zhenghuan to the door and said, "Don't worry. The young master won't have another attack within 2 hours. Hurry up." Piao Zhenghuan breathed a sigh of relief. He opened the door and walked in, trembling. After entering the door, he saw that Li Pinggan didn't have any reaction, so he calmed down a little. "Young master, I'm a doctor from Koryo. Please allow me to feel your pulse." He reached out to Li Pinggan's wrist while staring at Li Pinggan's eyes. He was afraid that the young master would suddenly become violent and beat him into a pig's head. Fortunately, as Han Baochang said, Li Pinggan's mood was much more stable. He didn't have any reaction until he finished feeling the pulse. He took back his hand and turned to Han Baochang, who was outside the door, and said, "Butler, I suspect that the young master has lost his soul." Han Baochang said, "Can it be cured?" Piao Zhenghuan said, "It's hard to say. You can give him acupuncture first. If the effect is good, you can prescribe some medicine for him." Han Baochang nodded and said, "Okay, we'll do as you say." Piao Zhenghuan turned around and saw that Li Pinggan was still in a stable mood. He was completely relieved. As Han Baochang said, the young master wouldn't have another attack within 2 hours. In order to get the reward of $10 million, he quickly took out the silver needles and started to perform acupuncture on Li Pinggan. Unexpectedly, as soon as he took a silver needle in his hand, a red light flashed in Li Pinggan's eyes again. Li Pinggan suddenly grabbed Piao Zhenghuan's wrist, grabbed the silver needle, and stabbed it hard into Piao Zhenghuan's arm. "Ah!" Piao Zhenghuan let out a heart-wrenching scream. Li Pinggan did not know any acupuncture techniques, so he directly pierced the entire needle into his arm. The pain was so excruciating that it went deep into his bones. But the nightmare had just begun. Li Pinggan directly stepped on Piao Zhenghuan, then grabbed the needle bag next to him and pierced all the silver needles into his body one by one. Seeing this miserable situation, the others had goosebumps all over their bodies. It was really too miserable. Even Gulit, who had just recovered from the shock, rejoiced that he wasn't a TKM doctor. Just the thought of such a long needle stabbing into his flesh was painful. Han Baochang sighed and murmured, "It seems that the young master's illness is getting worse." Finally, after Li Pinggan inserted all the silver needles into Pu Zhenghuan's body, the red light in his eyes slowly faded, and he returned to normal.